Yo, good morning. It is Guido coming at you with a coffee talk from the left side of the Atlantic. Good morning.
And it's Pilgrim from the correct side of the Atlantic with his Pilgrim mug, which you can buy from Guido Merch. Get some today.
Get it. Get them while they're hot. Wayne, Gator, Brute, Quodal. Midnight's here. Good morning, guys. How's everybody doing? It is the 20th, Sunday the 20th of November, and this is Coffee Talk. Welcome to everybody. We got a pretty good docket of stuff to go over today. Bitwise is in the house. Mustang, good morning.
Morning all.
Lots of very interesting things going on, and we're ginning up for Christmas. I need to put my Christmas stuff up, don't I?
Yeah,
my little lights
I
and
mean,
stuff.
the minute you do, I'll get the Santa Claus hat out, and that'll be it.
Now, that being said,
No, oh man, it's November. It's November.
I do not. Hold on now. I do not control the House General. You know this.
You don't. That's true.
So this weekend has been a decorating extravaganza. I should have taken a picture for y'all because we've talked about this in the past. But in my house, it's not a very big house, and she has a lot of furniture, doodads and stuff she's picked up over the years as we travel around.
Yeah.
Of course, now that we're sedentary and been here for about 10, 15 years, it's starting to explode.
Yeah.
So we don't have a garage. We have a little shed out back. We don't really have a lot of
Same
storage. It's a 1947 house. They just didn't build storage in these things. So every nook and cranny, every chest of drawers, every place that you can
every available space
possibly put something is just full of Santas and trees and gnomes and decorations because she just loves Christmas.
Cool. Well, do you know what? I think my house general is taking the same leaf out of yours because she's the same. She's already talking about starting next weekend decorating the house. And I'm going, it's not December. It's not Christmas till December.
We have done it. We have done it in October before.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's not
If
right.
it gets cold, like if there's a cold snap, he just absolutely, or she just absolutely, yeah.
It's biological.
Yeah.
If it gets cold,
She
body
just
switches
absolutely
on.
loves to decorate for Christmas. So we're fully up and decorated. I put the lights on outside on the bushes.
Cool.
And so I did my part. I actually also mowed the lawn so that it looks nice because it needed one more mowing for the year.
Okay.
And we're fully Christmased up. You know what I mean?
Wow. I
Yeah.
am somewhat in awe of you, sir, if you're doing Christmas this early, but man, oh man, I could not do it. I mean, I'm like, I love Christmas, but not enough to do it in November.
Diablo, thanks, man. I appreciate that very much. Thank you for the sub. That's awesome. Very cool. So that being said, the channel is gearing up. My canal was too loose. The channel is gearing up for Christmas, and we will be doing our giveaway. I don't have any details. That's not exactly true. I do have some intel on the Christmas stuff, which I'm not allowed to share. But I
We
think,
can share when it's right to share. Can't we?
well, what I can share is that it's happening, which I think everyone knew.
Yeah.
All right. So if you were concerned there was going to be no Christmas, if you were concerned Wargaming would cancel their Christmas, that's not going to happen. But that's all I can share.
Yeah.
That being said, it's Christmas, so there'll be stuff to give away. So
There
what?
will indeed. There
What
will
I
indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm planning on doing is the same thing we've done for the last about 3 years. Is I'm looking for you guys, and I'll do a video on this. I think I'm going to try to get it out on Thanksgiving as part of the Thanksgiving thing, in the States anyway. On the 25th no, not 25th. I always think it's the 20. I always
Sometime
think.
next week.
Well, I always think it's the 25th. It happens to be the 24th this year.
All right.
So on the 24th, we will put a video out. But the basic gist of it is going to be if you know somebody who could use a little holiday cheer, right? So it's not necessarily, it's kind of a charity thing, but we're giving away game content. So, you know, I'm not going to be able to pay somebody's mortgage or something like that. But we're talking about Christmas cheer, man. Somebody who could use a pick-me-up. I know I've already had a couple people send me names, but keep those in your back pocket. When I get the video out and I'm ready to start receiving all that, That way I can try to keep track of it because it can get pretty busy. Somebody already sent money, which is great. That's fine. It's the standard donation link. Just make sure that you let me know with the little note that it's for the giveaway if you are wanting to donate to the channel so that I can pass that through. Every single bit of what is donated will be passed through to this program. So much appreciated. Last year we gave away about $600 worth of stuff.
We did, didn't we? We did well, didn't we?
Actually, we gave away, I want to say about 800 because around 5 or 6 was donated. And then I popped in another, I want to say 250, 300. But, and then you actually put some more in there. And it may have been closer to 1,000 by the time I was done because there were some other, I paid the Discord guys and you and some other stuff. So,
but I'll do the same this year, Guido. I'll match like for like. So whatever you do off your own back, I'll match that and put it into the pot. You know what I mean?
all good.
Whatever it comes out to.
The only trick there is last year we ran into the thing where the bloody website shut down my ability to give gifts because I'd given so much or used it so much.
We can work that between us like we did last year because one of the contestants won a tank which I gave to him from my account.
Yeah.
So we can work that out. You know, if you get blocked off, then we can go to mine and run mine. So it's fine, absolutely fine.
Yeah, and then there was then we gave away a pair of slippers, I think, in there as well.
Yes, a pair of hotters.
Yeah, and that was quite the saga because that took months to get those things.
It didn't. It
Remember?
Just
Oh man!
but it worked. Banzai's in the house.
All right, so Bitwise says it's snowing. Jollins doesn't do it until 12 days.
Yeah.
When you land on stream, the first thing you hear is decorated. It's exactly 5 to 6 feet, like they have in. Oh yeah, that's going crazy over there, isn't it? Donate to Diablo's Vegas Gambling Foundation. That's a charitable foundation. I like it. Somebody's got to pay for the lights in Vegas. Might as well be us.
My daughter's there currently at this moment
In
time.
Vegas.
Yeah, she
Really?
flew to New York, stayed there for 3 days, then she's gone for 5 days in Vegas. I think tomorrow she's trying to fly back to New York, but I believe it's snowbound at the moment, so
Ooh,
there might be a problem. Yeah, there
Yeah.
might be a problem. She might be spending a bit longer in Vegas than we think.
I got stuck. I've told this story several times, but long story short, I did get stuck in a nor'easter on Christmas Eve with my wife, dog, and baby.
Not good.
Yeah, trying to come back from Europe to Arizona, and we got stuck in LaGuardia for Christmas Eve. That was awesome.
Well, what I've said to my daughter is that instead of trying to get to New York, if it is blocked off, just stay in Vegas for another few days until things are clear. You know, I mean, she's already contacted work, and work are happy with it. You know what I mean? So she'll be fine. But her partner, she's gone with. His boss said, "No, get your ass back to the UK now." So he's panicking.
Well, Diablo, when you hit it rich, remember we knew you win. All right?
Yeah, we knew you win.
I'm sure it will happen. Everyone who goes to Vegas wins money. Okay, guys.
Just on a tangent, because Johnny's thrown one in there about winning money. We did a sweepstake at work for the World Cup soccer, and I picked out the favourites, Brazil and Wales. Bloody Welsh and Brazil. So that's why Johnny's put it in there that I've got money to splash, because it's probably end up me getting the equivalent of about $60 in Brazil win. I'm cheering for Brazil.
Have you seen the news on I don't know who the guy is. He's the coach for the U.S. I think he's German or something like that. Who's been spouting off about how good his team is, and it's not gonna go like you guys think it's gonna go. And some other, I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, to be fair, the United States have had fairly decent teams in the past, and they've given England a good run for the money, I can tell you.
Well, I mean, he's
And they've
certainly
beaten some of the major players. So,
he's certainly taken a page out of the U.S. book of we're the best, rah rah, man.
Yeah, no, talk it up. Why
Yeah, until you go crashing out. Yeah, don't even get through the whatever the first phase is called.
Yeah, the stages. Yeah.
Stages, yeah. All right, cool. There will be no coffee talk next week, guys. Sorry, I'll be out of town again. I actually forgot about that one. That was one of those things where the wife says, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And it was about 2 months down the road. I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." And then she said, "Don't forget, next Saturday night we're going down to Apalachicola." I'm like, "Oh."
But anyway, I mean, with what we've coming up what's coming up with the Christmas and all that sort of stuff that we're going to do, you'll need to have that weekend rest.
Is that, yeah, I'll have to
Enjoy
rest?
ourselves
Okay,
and
good,
stuff.
yeah, because World of Tanks will be very busy during Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I am planning on streaming on Friday, though. So
Cool.
that's a day off, or I've taken the day off the day after Thanksgiving. Sometimes I think I'm going to stream on Thanksgiving, but I'm going to be busy doing the turkey, so I don't think I'm doing that.
Yeah. There's always that, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the it's the jobs around the house thing, isn't it? You've got to do on those.
Well, I'm the
days.
turkey man.
Yeah, I love it.
I have to do the turkey. I prep the turkey, cook the turkey.
Awesome.
Yeah, friends of ours, we've spent more Thanksgivings with them than we probably have with family, and they with us based on different. Well, it's Notso's family, basically.
Yeah.
They live just down the block in the same neighborhood, and so I do the turkey because we have a little crummy 1985 oven, but it's just enough for a turkey. So I do that, and then his wife does all the fixings and whatnot, and then we take the turkey over there. So
wow.
I'm gonna try it a little different
See
this
that-
year. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I see that's what I like about the community spirit you have in we have it in the UK, not all over and not all over the States, but generally when you've got communities like that and you've got real good friends, you virtually live in each other's houses. It's quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I quite like that. That is something I've missed in the past, especially being military and travelling around everywhere. You tend not to put those roots down, but you've got those roots down in Florida now. That's cool.
Yeah. Diablo says you guys go to Vegas every year.
Vegas.
How did that start?
Wow.
That is not your traditional
No.
Thanksgiving story right there, is it?
But what a way to do it though. You've got all the big shows on. You've got the whole holiday thing kicking off, and you've got.
I wonder if it's more busy or less busy. What is it, more or less busy, Diablo? I can see it being both. I can see it being less busy because everyone's home for Thanksgiving, but I can also see people doing what you're doing, less busy. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So now that Diablo's put that out there, he's ruined it for everyone.
The whole of the North American server will be going to.
Yeah, everybody,
Vegas now.
all 35 of you.
Yep. My daughter will stay there till Christmas now.
Excuse me. Yeah, we used to do a bit of that as well, just around midnight, back in the day when I was doing such things. But in Utah, it was a little earlier than that, usually in October.
What's the season in the States? Is it?
It varies.
In
Fall.
Oh, does it?
If we're talking deer hunting, I mean, there's all kinds
deer
of
hunting,
but
yeah.
deer hunting is fall. Yeah, generally, yep.
As well, John is just saying Thanksgiving is like pre-Christmas. No, Thanksgiving is a totally different thing. It's correct me if I'm wrong. It's to do with yourself and the North American Indians, is it not?
So it's essentially a fall festival. So most cultures have some kind of fall festival. Ours in particular is exactly what you said. It's the legend or whatever the story is that the Pilgrims and the Indians sat down together sometime in the fall in a fall festival idea, and really what it is apparently the Indians brought food to the Pilgrims who were struggling to make food, towards when the winter started, and then fed them. So that's kind of the idea. Harvest time, fall festival, absolutely, all that stuff.
Hobbits and Indians, says Wayne.
Yeah.
As an aside, here's a story about Indians before we go on to World of Tanks. Not Indians, sorry, deer. I'm not only dealing with North American Indians. Deer. It's a short story. Heisenberg's got
From
it
a
right.
short man.
Yeah, from a short hobbit, a short story.
Okay.
I used to be the depot warrant officer of a place called Depot 90, which was an ammunition depot in Germany. And it was originally a German ammunition depot during the Second World War, and we discovered it by accident because it's covered in trees. You can't tell. And we discovered it by accident when we finally got rid of the Nazis and all that sort of good stuff. As allies. And so it was taken over as a British ammunition depot, and I ran it for about 2 years. And they've got it's big enough to have 2 herds of deer on there. And they used to have a forestmeister that used to maintain the deer herds, as you do. They control the herds. And as the depot warrant officer, I was given first pick of the hunt. So every year I'll be off there. I loved it, man. I'll be off there going on the hunt. I get the first pick of the hunt, mate. So I would go home with haunches of deer because they get it butchered for me and everything. And my house general would go, "You are not bringing that dead animal into this house. You are not putting it in my freezer whatsoever." So I had to go and buy a separate chest freezer and keep it in the garage because that was the only place I was allowed to keep killed animals.
So I still have some chops left from my son when he they're probably a year and a half. No, it must be 2 years ago now, but they're in the freezer, so it's all good. But I still have some chops left. The other day I got package out and I put them in the crock pot, and then just
Lovely.
put a bunch of herbs and seasonings in there, onions, a little bit of garlic, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and a little Worcestershire sauce, and
Come on.
and let it go
Worcestershire.
for like 4 or 5 hours, which
Oh, wow,
just really tenderizes it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
holy cow, man, that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
I think the longer game is kept, the better it gets. As you say, you can leave it in the freezer for a whole year. And when you
Well, I don't think the
it's,
freezer does it any favors.
Probably not. No.
No,
because
I think
it
it's the
gets
long
fermentation,
cook
so-
that does it, right? Because it breaks it down.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I actually marinated it a little bit in a bit of a brine, so that softens it up. That way you don't get that, and it also mellows it, And it was good anyway. It was
Well, you being a mountain man will know that you can hang your meats.
yeah.
As long as you treat it right, you can hang your
Yeah.
meats, and they'll last for months and months and months. And that's where you get flavour when you hang them in smokers or whatever.
Well, that's what
You know what I mean?
that's what a dry aged is. They just hang
Yeah.
the beef,
Yeah,
and every now and again they carve off the stuff on the outside that's rotting. So what happens? That's why it's so expensive, actually, because you lose a lot of the meat as you dry age it,
yeah.
because you keep carving off the outside crusty bits and stuff.
Yeah.
But Stickler, thank you, by the way, for the sub, much appreciated. 32
Yeah,
months,
you've had
holy
another
cow!
one earlier on.
Yeah, that was Diablo. Yep. And a
Yeah,
follow
there's
from
one in
Roflo.
between that.
Yeah, a follow
Yeah.
from Roflo. Thanks for the follow, man. Welcome. I guess we should talk about tanks at some point, right?
Shall we?
Pilgrim's a bit quiet. All right, let me turn him up. Actually, I'll turn it up. There we go. Try that.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Am I loud enough for your ears?
Streaming Friday. No coffee talk on the 27th, which is next Sunday. We'll be back for the rest of December on all of that stuff. Looking for your Looking for your nominations for people who could use a pick me up during Christmas. I'll have more details when I put the video out on that. And obviously, any donations that come in specified for that will go to that. And I think that's it for channel news. You got anything else?
No, I think we've covered that most of everything we're going to cover.
Cool.
Haven't we? I'll be finishing work at 2 o'clock on Friday, so I might be able to jump in on the stream if you're sort of midday starting, something
Yep.
like that. Your
Same
time.
thing, man.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right.
Lovely. Oh gosh, yeah. Are we doing that now? Are we?
Yeah, it's blue light special time. And
Right.
and there's some decent stuff available.
Oh, there is.
Yeah. So let's check this out, guys, gals, otherwise, whatever you are or identify as or want to be or
Stop.
imagine
Just carry on.
or imagine you are or
Stop.
one day
Yeah, I'm a
thought
hobbit.
one day thought you might want to be, but all right. Here we have the IS-2 shielded. It's okay. But the Astron Rex,
Back again.
it's pretty good. That's a pretty good tank. That's
Yeah.
pretty. I think Skill just featured that thing. Probably did
Oh, did he?
14,000
Oh, right.
damage in it or some such thing.
Yeah.
The
Probably.
Lorraine, also good. Loza's Sherman, I don't have that one, but it's pretty much the same as all the rest of the Shermans. And the Basante. And the ELC even 90.
Yeah.
All solid tanks. Those are all solid tanks out there, guys. The T-103 is still available. You can still get the Commanders. Now, 9 days. All right, so those are going to go for another 9 days. That brings us, I guess it's going to the 30th-ish. The question is, can we get enough points to get 2? Somebody mentioned on stream that you can get 2 of those total, they thought.
Yeah. They
with
did,
the
didn't
drop. So I'm back to 18 coins, but only 9 days. Is that one more weekend? Probably.
they? Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and part of a week. So who knows if there'll be a drop the week of the 28th to the 2nd. That I don't know. Also, another weird thing. I thought the November Prime thing was going to be out by now, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, hang on, let me just check. Hang on. You sure? I thought it was out.
Every time I go
No,
there,
sorry, it's not. No, it's not.
every time I go there, it's still the witchcraft thing from October,
it's
and
witchcraft
they
thing, yeah.
advertised it, and there was some rumor, but it hasn't shown up, so I don't exactly know what's going on with that.
Okay.
Anybody else know?
So you recommend the Aston Rex, even though it's, I want to say $60 for the base. Is that the basic package?
No,
Or
if
the
you
pack?
scroll
So
down,
can't
you can
basic?
get just the tank. If you scroll down,
Can
you
you?
can get, yeah,
Okay.
yep, you can do just the tank.
All right. Yeah. 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 I'm looking. I'm looking. Oh, maybe not. Maybe. Oh yes, you can. Yeah, you can.
Hold on, I'm
$40.
messing
Not
with my
about?
chat here so I can.
$35. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's we come down here. It's
Oh,
43.
okay.
So they're all down here. The
Yeah,
Sante's
yeah,
45. The Aston Rex is 43, and the Lorraine is 45. And I think you can also get the ELC alone, but I'm not. Is it up here? 23. So the ELC by itself is 23.
Yeah, that's not a bad price, is it?
For that tank, that's a tier 8.
Yeah.
That's a pretty dang good price because the Loza, what is it? It's a tier 6. Can you get it alone? It's 23. Nope, that has extra items. Never mind, it has gold. Doesn't look like you can get just the Loza. That's interesting. You're going to be buying gold. So, at least in that section, you can't get it. Let's go to specials and see. Yeah, Cliffy, that's what I was talking about, the leak. I assumed it was tied to that. It's interesting, though, that it's supposedly the November release, but it's November 20th. Now, they have been generally kind of mid-month, so I don't know if that one got pushed back a little bit or what. Yes, you will be getting your well-deserved reward soon. I do know that information. But it's not like that was a secret because it happens every time this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I don't...
Sort of secret.
Yeah, it's only kind of sort of secret. Yeah, I don't see don't see where you can get just the ELC. That is odd. There you go. You're gonna get gold whether you like it or not. Sorry, Lozas, not ELC. You can only get Lozas by buying a little bit of gold with it. Don't know. Maybe I'll
But
do
I
that.
struggle with all the Sherman variants. Not in game, I quite like them, but I struggle with the rationale of buying yet another Sherman variant when there's so many Sherman variants in the game. Do you know what I mean? It's just, for me, you're going to throw $23 at a tank. All right, it's got Loza on it, whatever. Doesn't make it any better than any of the other Shermans you might have in the garage. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I know I'm supposed to be shilling, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't spend money on it. I've already got 4 of them in the garage.
Yeah, well, there is that. I mean, if you're a collector, that might be something you want to pick up. The leak is just that the theme for the November Prime gaming thing is a soccer commander. So I mean, it's not really that. It's not that earth shattering.
Last time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Remember that
Hold on.
Italian goalkeeping?
This thing's bugging me. Had to rearrange the canals. All right, there we go.
Is that better?
I don't know.
Has it got L&R on it, like Irish Welly boots,
What's LNR?
left and right?
I don't know. Maybe I had the left one and the right one and the right one and the left one. I
Well, if
can't.
you buy a pair of Wellington boots from Ireland, they've got L&R written on them.
Really? I thought you were saying LNR, not
No, that's
L and R.
No, and right there, lad, L&R.
Diablo makes a good point, and it's well worth mentioning. Spending money on this
is
stuff
that.
right now, especially if you're on a budget. I mean, if these are tanks you want and you got the money, do what you want to do. But if you're looking to maximize your value, you would wait till the Christmas boxes, which are going to be traditionally sometimes mid to, I don't know, somewhere in the, let's look at December real quick. Typically the second week of December, roughly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Generally the week before the Christmas week, which is kind of and this year is the 18th. I'd say the 19th is Monday. 19th to 25th, Christmas is on a Sunday. So the week before is the 12th to the 18th. So my guess, if it matches past events, would be that time frame.
Yeah. Yeah, Mackay is very much like, I think most of us, he's saying that he spends most of his gaming money on the Christmas boxes. I think that's where the values have always been. Hopefully Wargaming maintain that value this year as well. So
God, that's always the question, isn't it? That's always the question. It's like, what? So they've been tweaking it every year a little bit. We didn't have the, I guess we sort of had the Halloween boxes because we had the engineer starter thing.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a box concept. It's the same idea, basically. So we'll see. We'll see what the value is. Somebody will do all the math, and it has decreased slightly over the years, but there's been a couple tweaks to ensure you got things. So it's kind of been this. In general, though, it's a very good value. You get a lot more gold than you would if you just simply paid $100 and got 25,000 gold. If you pay $100 for the boxes, you should be pretty well above the 25,000 gold.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think also the tanks that they've had in them have been useful, viable tanks. I think I want to say the Barusk was one, wasn't it? The Mackay's put it up. GSOR 703 and all that sort of good stuff.
Basante, I believe. Yeah, I think the Basante
was in there. Yeah. So I like the boxes. I think they're good value and all the rest of it. And I just hope Wargaming don't ruin it this year. I don't see why they would, but you never know.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Where were we? What were we talking about? Who am I? Where am I?
We were shilling. We did the tank.
We were shilling. Oh yeah. I think that's it for that. Let's take a look at the missions and stuff here. It's a crew is crucial weekend. So if you have crew, you need to rearrange, re-wicker, retrain, whatever the case may be. This is the weekend to do it. There it is. And so what we got are barracks if you need them, obviously. Gold discount on training and retraining. Gold discount on skill resets, which is very nice if you were a person who does the train a skill that's useful, and then after you get 2 or 3 skills, retrain them and put Brothers in Arms in the first slot. However, this is a great weekend to do all that good stuff. And specialization changes, which is nice. Actually, you can sometimes you can change some of the special commanders to another qualification.
Yeah, I noticed that. I just had a quick look in. There was the ability to change commanders. Yeah,
not always. Some are locked.
Yes.
Some you can't, but some you can. So that's pretty cool. And then there's various missions to get a few goodies along the way. Generally happens while you're playing. This is nice. If you boost your crew, if you finish the last one, you get a bunch of consumables, which is certainly worth it.
Yeah.
So we got that going on. Crew's crucial. What else do we have? We'll talk about. We're going to talk about it later. Let's do match day right now. All right.
Yeah, we will.
This is a little bit goofy, my friends, unfortunately. It's a web page. It's actually not a different website. It's there. Last time you could go down here and select your teams and it would tell you which one you had.
Yeah.
This time, not so much. I don't know. Did that skill go away with Lesta Studio? Who knows? I've gone through a couple times and picked, and there doesn't seem to be any difference. I don't even know if maybe you can change because it always says it accepts the code. This threw me off. This date says November 19th, which was yesterday. So I was looking for the results of Gutter, and Ecuador, and there are none. You know why? Because they haven't played yet.
No, because they don't play until today.
They played today.
It's called Qatar, by the way. Qatar against Ecuador.
It's Gutter.
It's okay. It's Himmelsdorf.
All right.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, I keep clicking prediction. It keeps taking me to the to the enter the code thing. It lets me enter the code. I've done it like 5 times on the same team. So I don't know what's happening. It's all goobered up, I think. I don't know.
All right.
Zimbo wants to know if the 121B is worth the bonds. Yes, definitely. In my opinion. But hey.
Who was asking that? Oh yeah, that's
Whether the 121B is
that's
worth the
a
bonds.
actually really good. That's a really good tier 10 medium. I don't think it's obviously challenging. Say it may even be as good as a 907 or close to it. To be quite honest, it's good. When I was there, the locals told me it was pronounced Catter. Really? Well, there you go. If you listen to an Arabic speaking person, because they have that more guttural, it sounds like gutter when they say it.
Yeah.
Khutter. It's kind of like that. It's like khutter. That's how it sounds when they say it. All right.
Stop it.
Anyway, that's match day. My assumption
Yeah.
is that after Qatar
Guitar.
defeats Ecuador, having paid them off with oil blood money,
Yeah. Yeah.
this should populate eventually the leaderboard, which it promises we have, which we don't have. You come down here, you go leaderboard.
You scroll down, you can't go anywhere
There's
near
no
it, can you?
clicky. There's no leaderboard.
Yeah. There's nothing. There's styles. You can get camo.
I mean, I guess there'll be a leaderboard after the first game goes. We shall see. I don't know. Here's the styles. Various styles. Decals. Spinning ball decals.
Yeah, get a decal.
Yeah, get it. Anyway, there it is. So what do you think? We got Iran, England. That should be England. US. This is a tough game, actually.
Yeah.
I would not. In fact, USA is probably the underdog here, aren't they?
Not the way your coach has been talking it up.
Yeah. For some reason, Wales is always tough, and that's a tiny little place. It's crazy
Yeah.
how good their football players are.
Yeah, but they're all a single bloodline. That's why they're all Celtic warriors, aren't they? They're not mixed up like us. You know what I mean? They've got they go back like 2,000 years to the cavemen, don't they? They've got druids with them when they go on the
So
tour.
you're saying it's a 2,000-year football bloodline. They've been
Yeah.
They've been secretly playing it in the groves and caves.
Yeah. And they got druids.
They got
So
druids.
they've got magic on their side,
Yeah,
haven't they? You know what
that's
I mean?
right out. They do have a prince. That's not their prince. That's the thing.
No, that's
a-
English, isn't it?
They must have a. I wonder what their word for Outlander.
They've got a royal bloodline. Their last known king was called King David, and he had his seat of power in Cardiff, which is the capital city of Wales
Yeah.
at the moment. And when he got his arse kicked by the English, like a lot of you colonials did, he obviously abdicated, but he had children, so there's still a Welsh bloodline, and apparently the present-day King of Wales is a retired locomotive steam plate driver from Swansea. He
Wow.
wears a flat cap like me, and he sits in his little old semi-detached house. I'm still the King of Wales.
We went to an awesome castle in Wales this last time. One I had missed it the last 3 or 4 times I'd been there. It's called the Castle in the Forest, and it apparently was built by some of those last kings, mostly to the
Yeah.
English. So the English
To the
were,
English.
they put those forts around pretty much all of them. Most of them are around the edge of Wales.
Yeah.
When Edward or whoever it was
Yeah.
went in to finally control
yeah.
Wales, he built those
Yeah.
ring forts all the way around, like Carnarvon and all those places.
Yeah.
Well, this one was a Welsh castle that they had built like up this ravine on top of this little hill, and
Right.
basically it was built as a place, just a strong point. It didn't have a town around it. There was no other strategic use for it other than to be a place for the warriors to hide out in the forest.
Right, got you.
But they built this
Got you.
whole castle up in there, and you can hike up the ravine and get up into it. It's a really
Nice,
interesting.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Welsh are still a single bloodline, and they'll take great pleasure into saying that. Well, we were never actually conquered by the English. They only got as far as they got, and they never bothered anymore.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you'll also know the difference is that in North Wales, their first language is Welsh, and their second language is English. But in South Wales, it's English and then Welsh because South Wales was populated by the English. So there's still that.
Well, yeah, it's flatter.
demarcation.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
forest and the hills in northern Wales,
North Wales,
weren't
yeah.
worth
Yeah.
getting in there, so they all kind of retreated back into those.
Well,
Well,
the North Wales call the South Wales people pointy heads.
yeah, they took their
As far as they're concerned, they're Normans with the pointed helmets.
they took all their sheep with them and went into the hills.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've got to have something to do in the evenings, haven't you? That's why they took the sheep with them.
We got stuck in a pretty nasty traffic jam as the Welsh farmer moved all his cows down the road for about 40 minutes.
What you doing, boyo? I'm moving my bloody sheep, and I.
And dogs and cows. He had his working dogs with him, and I don't know how many cows. They must have been 200,
Oh, wow.
and they were going in every direction.
Brilliant.
That's why while we were trying to find that castle. Anywho, where were we? What were we talking about? Oh, we're doing missions and specials. Cruise
We were
Crucial.
doing the football, weren't we?
Yeah, that's the football.
Yeah.
Oh, we were kind of going
Soccer.
through all this. So, who do you have? Who do you like?
Well, obviously England.
Well,
but
okay.
I've drawn Brazil in the sweepstake at work and Wales in the sweepstake. I think Jollins drew Qatar, which is my mate at work, which is why
Yeah.
he's saying that Qatar have blackmailed or paid the other team off. You know what I mean?
Well, they paid for everything else for this, didn't they?
Yeah. They did. They crossed a lot of palms with silver. Should we put it that
Holy
way?
shit! Have you been following the mess that is right now?
Man, it is. A
First of all,
nightmare. I mean, the whole-
why would you even go there?
There's no point, is there?
Dude,
It's very
I've been
political,
there.
isn't it?
I've been there. I've been in that part of the world many times. Obviously, not as a tourist. I can't wrap my mind around the whole idea of it.
No,
Everyone's like, "Oh, you got to go there. It's just this great, vacation spot." I'm like,
no,
yeah.
no.
What?
There's a whole world of reasons why you wouldn't go there. I mean, as you and I have been to that part of the world a lot of times, and there's reasons why we've had to go to that part of the world a lot of times.
Right.
And also, there's reasons not to go on vacation there, and you could go. You could go and make a list as long as you're on about human rights abuses and everything else. And why go there? What's the point of that?
And I'm with you on that 100%. That's obviously an issue, but I can't wrap my mind around the idea that these are teetotaling nations, but then they've got these great big massive luxury hotels where apparently you can get a drink as long as you hide in the hotel and
Yeah.
pretend you're not doing it, and all the just
Yeah.
ridiculously stupid things. So
Yeah.
so basically, Budweiser has a FIFA
Yeah, sponsor.
sponsor, and they were told they could sell their beer there and do all this stuff, and Qatar,
Now it's gone.
just they're like, nah, changed our
Yeah.
mind. We changed our mind.
Like a week before the game
Yeah.
start, they've turned around and said, "No, you can't drink in the stadium."
Yeah,
And then they quoted, quote unquote, because the England fans get leery when they're drunk. So they blame the England.
facts.
But it is facts, yes, but
It was my understanding that was part of the deal.
yeah, exactly. You signed up for it. You're gonna have Brits there on the lash. Why not?
So that's
there
actually
you go.
part of my comment there. You've invited this thing, this World Cup. Generally, that comes with it. Obviously, I'm not saying it's a good thing. That sucks when people rampage and do stuff. But if one of these goofballs went there and got drunk and started doing the stuff they did in Europe, that would not go well for them.
It wouldn't. No.
No.
You come back without your hand.
Dude, and you laugh about it, but it's not. It's kind of like
Yeah.
this Brittany Griner who went to Russia with some cannabis, whatever she had.
Yeah.
You're not in the West, dude. They don't.
No. They
No
don't
one.
play by the same rules, do
They
they?
don't give two shits about your rights.
No.
Because you don't got none.
You ain't got none, no. You know, if we want to chop your hand off, we will.
So Brazil, you think is strong?
I think Brazil definitely is the front runner.
How's Germany? They've kind of fallen off lately. Are they
Germany's
still sort of
fallen off.
mediocre?
I think, you know what? I think the United States may well have an impact this year.
Might make a little noise, yeah.
Might make a little noise. I think also Portugal are looking fairly solid.
Yeah.
But the old schools like Italy and Spain, you won't see them.
Oh, really? So
England
they're
will
not.
get into the quarterfinals, I'm pretty sure, but then
Yeah.
they'll fall out of the quarterfinals as usual.
So who's favored? Brazil?
Brazil, yeah. Had some quids in at work.
Nice. All right, so that's match day.
When I drew the name out, Jollins was the guy doing the draw. When he drew the name out and it went to me, he did it individually. He didn't go around, as a group. He went, "Can you not tell anybody that Brazil's been drawn?" He said, "Because otherwise they'll all drop out of the sweepstakes." So I had to keep quiet.
Rigging.
Yeah, rigging.
Jollins rigged it. That's a great. We are going to talk about rigging today. Yeah. So Jollins says
Jollins rigged
Argentina. Jollins says Argentina and France are strong
okay.
too. Yeah.
Brazil, Argentina, France-ish, top three. Okay, cool.
Germany not strong, old and tired. I think the U.S. has some
Yeah.
old players on it too. Kind of has a bit of a mix. All right.
The trouble is with soccer, you're old when you're 34. It's probably the same in American football.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't they?
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's all with the understanding of what old means in that context.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, let's see. So crew is crucial. Onslaught's ending today. So if you have any final stuff with that, Battle Pass Season 9 is the 30th. So that's coming up. Make sure, guys, you go into your depot and spend your, not depot, in this case it's the Battle Pass. Go to your Battle Pass doohickey and spend your points. Also, you got to spend your coins this time. If you don't spend your coins, they'll be turned into bonds at the end. So if you forget, you'll get something.
Right, that's good though, isn't it?
We are, Diablo. We're getting there. That's subject du jour. Don't get ahead of yourselves. Come on.
Yeah, Diablo, wind it in.
Oh man, that's gonna get interesting.
Yeah.
Because Klaus has shined a light on it, and he has a much more pool than anybody else. I will note, and I think Pilgrim will back me up. This channel has been talking about this for 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, anywho. What else? Battle Pass, Match Day. We talked about Frontline next week, guys.
Yeah, we got that coming tomorrow, isn't it?
Yep. So you got a Frontline starting the 21st, and so it's Monday tomorrow, going to the 28th. So you can crank it out. Man, how the mighty have fallen in terms of Frontline. I was taking a look at it and the rewards. Remember Frontline when it first came out? That there were reward tanks involved and all kinds of stuff.
A whole ton of stuff. I mean, it was it was almost like a Christmas loot box, but not being a Christmas loot box.
I mean, people would work hard to get, and I did as well, to get some of those tanks. I do like
that. Get absolutely tons of credits. I don't anymore. Like I play my EU account free to play.
Yeah.
And Frontline, for me, funded my EU account, credits wise. I just about break even now. Rather odd.
Yeah. Bitwise, what's Frontline? Frontline died for Bitwise years ago. I don't think I didn't play one single game last time of Frontline.
Really?
No.
Well, yeah, it takes you away from the normal game. That's the trouble.
Well, you do get Battle Pass points now. So really the tanks that, if you look at it, and I don't think that really helps psychologically for a lot of people, but the tanks you're playing Frontline for are built into Battle Pass. So you get Battle Pass points by playing Frontline. I do like that integration.
Yeah.
The rest of the rewards aren't great.
They should do that with more of the modes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if they made the improved compressor part of Frontline, I think they would get a lot of people playing Frontline.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's not as toxic as Onslaught or Ranked or any of those things.
No.
Of course, there's still tanks for Ranked, right? We haven't seen Ranked. We got Onslaught. No. We didn't see another season of Ranked. And there were actually some tanks involved in that.
But I think what's happened with Ranked is that the tanks that have been on offer lately are not the super overpowered chieftains of past yore. So I think the appetite is slightly diminished for it.
Maybe. I mean, those are Clan Wars, though. The Ranked stuff is all... I don't know. Do they even have it?
Oh, sorry, Clan Wars. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Ranked is Tier 9 stuff.
Yeah.
Were there Tier 10s in Ranked? I don't remember.
No, I can't remember. I think it was just tier 9s, I'm pretty sure.
Don't know.
Pretty
So Stoic got the Cobra and a Bond Turbo. Very nice. Yep. I think you can still make a lot of credits in Frontline if you just take all of the try-hard stuff off your tanks and just
Yes,
find something with
absolutely.
good pen and shoot
Yeah.
standard and don't worry about whether
Yeah.
you don't do that great or not. You can still make a lot of
Yeah.
credits. That will limit your progress a little bit because a lot of times you kind of want the gold to make sure tanks die, or maybe you just make sure you only bring 4 rounds or 6 or something very small.
Well, I play 4 tanks only. That's the only,
Oh, really?
do the rule limit of 4 tanks rather than
Yeah.
your whole of your garage of tier 8s. Or
So you just
whatever.
set those 4 up for
Yeah, it's
credit
for-
making
for,
and
for front line.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just go to them all the time.
Yeah.
So as you get killed, there's always one in the garage waiting to come in. You know. What I mean?
Yeah, which means you're going to want to play your premiums for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's make sure we haven't missed anything here. We got Cruise Crucial. We talked about that. Frontline is coming back, and that's pretty much it, I think, for this stuff. You got anything else for missions and specials? Let's take a quick look just for giggles and see what we got in the UI here. As soon as I figure out what I'm doing here. There we go. Missions, let's see. Events, shouldn't be anything there. There is not. There's your Battle Pass stuff. Missions, what do we got? Onslaught, that's old. On Track, Cruise Crucial, there's the missions for that. You can track in there. What is it? Damage, spotting, be in the top 10. Is this a win? Great.
Base experience earned.
And yeah, base experience earned, and that's daily. So I have 5 of 6. So I need to do one of these. You'll get your little ticket, coin, marker, token, key. What else? What else? Coin
Thing.
thing. So you only need 6 of those total. You can do that in 2 days.
Yeah.
Do them all in one day, and then another, then another 2. If you haven't started those, I don't think you can get there today. Doesn't look like
No,
it.
I don't think you can. You've got to get 6 done.
But if
I
you've
think.
played it all, probably you're close. So take a look at that and get all those goodies. We got On Track. The Patton's on track. Patton line.
Yeah.
The Sturv line is on track. Remember, those have discounts along with them. Match Day. This is one you just get. I don't think you actually have to sign up for anything, but maybe the first time you pick a team. But anyway, this is just 2,500 damage caused for this first day, and you can get yourself this old camo. This was an old Match Day camo from back in the day. In fact, it might have even been a camo from, I think it was a camo from the soccer event, the tank soccer thing.
Yeah, remember the it was, wasn't it? The where you went into like a small stadium and you
Yeah.
were like shooting the ball.
Yeah.
It was that one. That camo was on the tanks because I've still got that on one of the tanks, I think.
So
Yeah.
why would you not? They appear to be struggling a little bit with the whole Lesta Studio RU thing, who's doing what to who. We'll get to that in a minute. But why would you not just go, people really liked that soccer tank mode. Why not just roll it out again? You already got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if the code has moved along enough that it was actually not just a plug and play thing. Who knows? Artillery Bugs, thanks for the subscription or the subscribe, whatever. Much appreciated. 11 months, my friend. Thank you so much. I wonder why though. Let's say that it was basically plug and play. Why wouldn't you just go, hey guys, have fun. Here it is.
Yeah, exactly. Just chuck it in while the World Cup's on. You know, just something that, because it was. I want to say it was not intense. It was just a mode you could go, you could have a bit of fun with, and so on and so on. And it wasn't like intense. There was no massive grind with it, but it was just fun shooting a football. You know what I mean? And I never got any toxic back from it at all. So I enjoyed it. I really did.
I know, right? It just felt like something that.
Yeah.
It seems like low hanging fruit. Like you didn't have another event.
Yeah.
You weren't able to put things together. Maybe you're struggling a bit with the whole Lesta Studio RU who's doing what the who thing. Just plug that thing in and go. Have fun. Throw some bonds
Have
at
fun.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can't imagine that the coding would be so much, even with updates and everything that they've had since.
Yeah, who knows though?
can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Who knows? I mean, if it was built on the engine on the game 3 years ago, maybe it was just not an easy thing to do. Maybe the expertise left with Lesta. Who knows? There's a million
Could be.
what ifs on that.
There is.
How do you predict the score in football? Are you talking about picking for match day? You just pick the team you think is going to win.
Yeah, as opposed to, is it going to be 2-0?
What happens if it's a tie?
Yeah, that's a good point. Is there somewhere on the selector you can pick a draw? I don't know. I think you have to pick a team. Bearing in mind,
No, but what?
there's going to be, there's going to be things like overtime and possibly penalties, isn't there?
Well, that would get to a win if there's. It has a tie option.
There's no way of picking a draw.
See, there you go. Cliffy says they used to have one. Yeah, I thought they did too.
Yeah,
That's what I was
yeah.
saying. I'm like, there was a way to pick a tie. Only in
It
the
just says
seconds.
make a prediction.
I guess I'm just curious how they're going to, what they're going to do if it's a draw. Do you get 0 points out of that? I mean, I suppose, unless it's a. No, that shouldn't work. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do that.
See, we'll see, won't we?
Yeah. Well, there's this place where it goes to shootouts, right? Once you get into the final
Yeah, you
phase
get
or whatever it is.
penalties. Yeah, in the quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals, yeah. Okay, so there's match day stuff. Battle Pass, that's old. Watt Salute. Twitch drops. This is the standard coin thing, so I need to crank that out, and I can get another 2 coins. So if I get 2 more, that brings me to 20. I need 15. That's going to be close, man. How many coins can you get in a week? Anybody know?
I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough.
Don't know. Cruelos, I am Will. Welcome. So it's going to be close. I think the only way you were going to get 2 commanders is if you had a few saved up.
Yeah.
But there you go. Trying to catch up with some of the Rocket League has lawyers.
Yeah, we did have to earn our picks last time. Yeah.
Gravel Load says he missed the news. Oh, how to pick? You go to the website. Is that what you're asking? You do this, my friend. Oops, that's not it. All right, so you go here. You look at the articles. You grab this one right here, Match Day. Predict a winner. You slide it on down. You hover over and you make a prediction. So I want to pick Ecuador, which is already going, but we'll just click on it. I bet it's. I wonder if it'll say I can't do it now.
It does. It takes you again into the same thing.
We didn't mention this, but it's super annoying that they're all codes.
Yeah.
If you go through every one of them, you're going to have 42 tabs open if you leave them open because you have to manually do the code every time. I wonder if it's going to say anything. See, and it gives you the bog standard you've successfully claimed. Even though my assumption is the game's ongoing, so you shouldn't be able to pick right now, in theory.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Did I just pick?
Well, nothing's showing up in the garage on the UI or anything.
No,
I've clicked every one of them this morning and nothing shows.
Yeah, so there's no indication. I've done all these, I think. There's nothing to show that you've done it. So honestly, I don't know.
Maybe you predict the result after the game's been played. Maybe that's what Wargaming going to do.
Oh, Jollins, I thought the game had started. Didn't Jollins say the game had started? What am I missing?
No, it's not until 4 o'clock our time, so
okay.
It's another 2 hours away.
Well, why did he say it was
Well,
1-0? Was that just his prediction, 1-0?
Oh yeah, I think it was.
Good.
Yeah, he was taking the mickey.
Cutter's going to win 1-0 because they paid.
They paid.
And
yeah.
and everyone's going to be stone cold sober.
Yeah.
What is
The
that?
singing's going to be rubbish, isn't it?
What does that look like when a whole stadium of English fans are sober?
They just sit down and do the crossword. They don't even do anything. They just sit with the Times newspaper and do the crossword.
So
What's going on out there? I don't know. It's shit. Just
they're all doing
crossword.
Quordle and Wordle. They're all doing Wordle.
Yeah, they've all got their iPads out. I'm not watching this shit. What's going on?
So basically, it goes from crossword to extreme violence after 2 beers.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That is awesome. Okay. I think we're done with missions and specials, my friends. And that brings us up to an hour.
I think we're done.
Because we got some subjects. When we come back, we are going to talk about some rigging, and we're going to talk about what is going on with Lesta Studio, flamethrower tanks, and this developer interview that I found. Give us 5 minutes. I am out of coffee. You guys probably are as well. So fill up the coffee, tea, Coke, beer, whiskey,
beer,
whatever it is you're drinking, my friends. We're going to be back in 5 minutes as I find the button I need to press here. All right, there we go.
A mysterious chap who spoke in a tongue with strange dialect. He offered his help to the mighty Guido to bring some laughter to his love of speedos. To the coffee talk they both came, to bring the message of winning ways to all and sundry and the masses. Yes, that's right, lads and lasses. The damage counts, and flexing back will keep you on the right track. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. So in what, if you want to progress, then seek out Guido nonetheless. With his sidekick Pilgrim, he has a message that to win you must be aggressive. The position and place that you must seek, for the winners only, not the weak. The guru speaks, so listen well. His voice rings out like the Liberty Bell, to bring you all to Unicom land, or to die hard trying in the sand. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. To the swamplands came the mountain man, to teach his wisdom and pay his due. A man with a name only known to a few. To his followers his words are true. Guido is the man, big and gruff. He used to fly jets, but now he does the tanking stuff. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido.
All right, people, we are back. We are back in action. So I had a funny conversation with the House General.
Oh, right, okay. I've just had one as well. What was yours about?
I bet they're not the same. She's like, remember that. All right, so she's a teacher, as you know.
Indeed.
And it's a private school in town, which is not as it's a word, uppity, I guess, is a word, as you might imagine. It's a small town, but anyway,
Yeah.
one of the families is fairly well to do, and one of the things they do is they get a massage for the teacher of their child, and this has happened for each year.
That's cool.
So it's one of these come to your house things. So she's like, remember, the massage lady's coming today.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get out the house.
So I made an off-color joke, and I said, "Oh, that's awesome. Does it come with a happy ending?"
Oh dear. Ooh, sugar.
And she got really mad. And then she's like, "That's dang it. Why'd you say that?" Because she goes, "In my mind, that's like a fairy tale, a happy ending of life and a nice story. And she's like, and now you've ruined it."
Looks like the Christmas present list has just got considerably bigger.
Oh, dude.
No, my conversation with the house owner was nothing like that.
Wasn't like that at all?
No, she said, I overheard you talking to Guido about Christmas decorations. When you've finished, we'll dig them out of the shed. I know!
Tell her that is Guido approved. Not that she requires any of my approval.
She said Guido's done his, we're doing ours.
I am on her side.
Oh man. For that, sir, I am roundly castrating you, sir.
I love it.
Oh dear.
All right, subjects du jour, my friends. The juicy part. Some of the smaller things. Two Line Push is apparently defunct, which was a kind of an up-and-coming blog. It was actually really good for a while. The guy found a lot of really good stuff, but he's a university student who's in his last year. Apparently, there is a note on there if you're interested in reading it, so he's no longer doing Two Line Push.
That's a shame, isn't it? Because it's quite useful.
It was nice to have one other than the basic one. So now we're basically down English speaking, guys. Unless you guys know of another blog other than the Armored Patrol, that's the only one I'm aware of that does regular content for English. Does anyone we'll just crowdsource here. Chuck it out if you know one down in chat. Yeah. Other than those, but I don't think so.
To be honest, I've not seen one. You know, you can do a regular search and have a look in that.
I mean, you can go to what's the Russian one called, and that is actually a slight segue. Well, again, we'll get to it, but what's the Russian one is called?
I don't remember.
What is it? The big Russian one.
It takes forever to get on it as well. That's
and you have to translate it.
Yeah,
But I don't know if now it's kind of aiming at RU stuff or unknown.
Yeah.
Common Test 1.19 is in the third iteration. I don't know if that's the Christmas patch. I feel like maybe it's going to come out earlier, but maybe it also is the Christmas patch. If it is, the Common Test people don't have access to that because there's no pictures of the garage or any of that stuff. Yeah, so
because it'll be. I would imagine it'll be the same garage. I'm Americanized. Stop it, garage, not garage.
Garage.
It'll be the same garage. It'll be the same garage as sort of last year with a snow scene and all that sort of good stuff. It's going to be like that. Isn't it? So anyway, shut up, Pilgrim.
Put your motor car in it.
That's it, motor car. Oh.
Yeah, your headphones are.
Yeah. Sorry, I remembered. I've got them up loud. There you go. Is that better?
Lovely. Okay, so 1.19, maybe the Christmas thing, maybe not. What it had, though, the big thing it had on it was this experimental equipment thing.
Yeah.
Which is not going to be in the Christmas boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the word. Experimental equipment is not going to be part of the Christmas boxes. I think it's still happening, or at least they plan on it still happening, but as of right now, they changed their mind and it's not going to be rolled out with the Christmas boxes.
It makes you wonder about the Christmas boxes, actually, because there doesn't seem to be tanks in the pipeline that you can
There's
see.
a bunch.
I mean, they've got a lot in Super Test.
Oh, no, there's a bunch. If you go to Cody Menz's channel, he's actually done quite a few videos.
Okay.
If you guys want to see some videos from Cody, he breaks it down. I'm not sure where he's actually getting the screenshots and stuff. Maybe it's a test. Are they on the test? I don't know. I should probably download it. I think he's going into the test and then looking at the, tank page or whatever it is. Yeah, there you go, just around midnight. So he's dug out a bunch of those tanks that are on there. There's some tier 9s, there's some 8s.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there going to be that big one that everybody wants? Because there has been every year, hasn't there? Really, in the Christmas boxes.
I don't know. I don't know which one that would
You know,
be.
the big. Ooh, let's get the 703 too, and all that sort of stuff.
There's a couple auto loaders. There's a little tank. There's a little TD or something that has a double barrel, like a Russian weird little box TD thing that has this double derp thing at like tier 3 or 5 or something like that.
Right.
There's a American auto loading tier 9 that I think looks something like the Renegade. Yeah, there's a few tanks in there.
Renegade. Yeah.
The rocket tanks. Now that's a question, Wayne, because
Yeah.
one rumor I heard on that was the rocket tanks are delayed. At least the line is. Does that mean the
Right.
premium is delayed? I don't know. My assumption with the rocket tanks is it would either be Christmas or it would be a marathon after Christmas on the Chinese New Year thing, which they've done in the past. It seems
Yeah.
like it would make more sense to be part of a Chinese New Year tank reward,
Yeah.
but it could be a Christmas thing. 232M is out there. Yeah,
Oh yes.
so there's quite a few tanks actually.
All right, there is then. So yeah, I stand corrected. I will be.
Trying to find this. Yeah, okay. So there's that stuff. What else we got? Little things. Oh, strategy and tactics vids, guys. I think a lot of people watching this are a little beyond the level of these things, howsomever. If you are interested in some very basic stuff,
Yeah.
you can go to the, and I like this, you know, they're working, I think it's Ikibu that's doing the voiceover, but strategy and tactics basics. And I think there's 2 so far. This one is Initial Roots, which has some good information on initial, M47 Improved is one of the other ones. There's some good information on initial positioning and tactics, stuff like that. Bitwise says Q-tips are better. I was doing
Yeah, they are.
I was doing it first.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, that's my whole channel, right? That's all we talk about is strategy and how to play the game. So
Exactly.
there you go. What's going on with my hair? It's getting a little crazy there. All right.
Yeah.
There's 2 of these out, so if you're in... now, why would they not have them all linked here?
You would think they would, wouldn't you?
Does
but
this
that
do
is
it?
working as intended, comrade.
Newcomer's Guide. It's not here either. Okay. All right. Well, maybe they'll do that later. Who knows? So check those out if you're interested. They're not bad. If you have a new player coming along, point them in that direction. It's good basic information.
And sometimes it's well worth going back and looking at basic information because although it's almost muscle memory to players, you know, that are here and you and I, because we've been at it for so long, sometimes it's nice to go back and just refresh the basics. And just go, oh yeah, I remember that. You know, so it's worth having a look.
It's a valid observation because oftentimes when I'm talking about stuff, I wonder if what I'm saying is too basic, and largely it can be with you guys because a lot of you know a lot of the things I'm talking about, and I'm just talking about things like maybe just digging into the UI or what you click to do something. But oftentimes I also have people go, "Oh, thanks for that basic info. I didn't
Yes.
know that." You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I mean, both you and I discuss things, and both of us have said between ourselves,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know that. Oh, all right, that looks interesting. Oh, yeah, oh, that's cool. I didn't get that, yeah. Because, you know, it is quite such a complicated game. There are things that you just don't know about or you miss, you know,
Yeah.
or you don't even, you know. And if somebody points it out and you go and have a look at it, you go, oh, that's cool. I didn't realise it did that.
Yeah.
It's good.
So, Bitwise says no more NA stream. I didn't have that as a subject, but we could probably cover it a little bit here. The merger. I don't have a lot of information on this, guys. I think that what's out there is yes, there is not going to be an NA stream. It's going to be one stream, but you'll have NA streamers on it. So they've consolidated. Then they've done the whole consolidation of all of their social media and stuff, which I don't participate a whole bunch in the social media other than say YouTube. I don't know. Maybe I'll get back on Twitter. I do have a Twitter account for Guido1212. I don't know. Most of it's just kind of useless to me.
I think you won't see much difference. The fact that you just have to go to one place, but there will be NA stream on there. So, you know, I don't think there'll be, for us, the participants, I don't see a huge difference. apart from the fact you haven't got my tabs will just be a single tab.
My
The stream instead of
my
having the what NA stream and the what EU stream.
my concern with it all is that NA is going to get. There's a couple things going on here. Some of the guys are typing in there NA winding down. You know, it's a bit of a drawback. A strategic reposition or a strategic, retreat, that kind of stuff. It's the natural life cycle of a game. I don't think the game is dying tomorrow, but it's definitely slowing down a little bit. But it's still one of the more popular games in the world, and really, it's doing pretty well in terms of games this old, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, you name a game that has been running for 12 years. Very far and few between. Call of Duty, possibly. Destiny, maybe. I can't remember if Destiny's that old.
Yeah, I don't know.
That has the same amount of following, that has this massive following.
Yeah.
1 million players.
Yeah, Bitwise, I have found myself on occasion, because I have very strong opinions about stuff, and we're not going to get into politics and things like that, but on social media, on my personal stuff, on occasion, I can, I like to get in there and mix it up with people. But I've largely drawn back from that because it's completely useless, and all that ever does is make me mad. So that's where I am with that kind of crap. So the merger, let's go back to that. I'm concerned that the NA folks are going to get lost in the shuffle. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, maybe so.
So I don't know what that looks like, and they're kind of short on details, and they're waiting. So here's the cynical part, right? They're waiting till after Christmas.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is good and bad. On the one hand, great. Let's just have a fun Christmas and that kind of thing. But then on the other hand, sometime in January, February, they're going to drop the plan.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much guaranteed to not make a significant amount of people happy.
Yeah.
Just because it's changed, not because I don't know anything about what the plan is, but there's going to be people who don't like it for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's change and people fear change.
See, that's the problem, isn't it? There is going to be change, and so this long lead into whatever action is that they're going to end up doing is trying to sort of dampen down the violent reactions to it. Warning people off that we're doing this and things are going to change and so on and so on. But what will happen is the change will happen, and as you say, a huge percentage of people are not going to like it for whatever reason. But it's a business. They have to keep making it work. And if that means, and I'm not going down the road of Elon Musk sacking 1 million people, but if they have to renegotiate how it all, if they have to sort of do some form of streamlining and combine various servers or whatever it may be, then it'll be for business reasons. It won't be for any other reason. It'll be for the monetary side of life.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. It's definitely going to be some changes. Reorganizations are always painful. We're at the end of the whip. We're just the players and the customers. But I don't know what that looks like. So we had an advocate. NA was full on the advocate for the NA players. We're being combined with EU, which means we're going to get buried in that group. And I have some access to the CC channels on the EU Discord. I don't have full access because we don't know what our status is for the NACCs. But in the chat that I do have access to, there's some pretty big content creators there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the interaction goes. I had already dialed back considerably from interacting on the CC channels and Discord because it just kind of sometimes became testy, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Not from me saying anything necessarily, just that's kind of how it goes on those kinds of things.
But you don't want to get sat in the middle of that nonsense anyway, do
Well,
you?
People have strong opinions, and it's really another form of social media, isn't it? So everyone can kind of be. It was cordial. It was cordial. I'm not slamming it. What I'm just saying is it just kind of was not very useful. It wasn't a very good use of my time. If I had I had a serious question, there were people there available, NA folks on the wargaming side who would answer pretty quickly usually, which was awesome. So that was the good part. So I guess that's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm saying is I don't know who my contact's going to be. Is it still who it was in the past? Are those people even
Yeah.
going to still be there? I don't know what their status
Well,
is.
that's the point, isn't it? Yeah.
It's not like I'm going
Like I
to.
said, when the all right, they're not merging the servers right now. They're not saying that. What they're doing is merging the media content. So and how that's put out there, whichever the stream is, whether it be YouTube or Twitch or whatever it is.
Right.
So right at the moment, the servers still exist as separate servers, but like you say, there's going to be a reduction somewhere along the lines, and possibly, as you say, that's where the NA will lose out. But coming back to what Wargans has just said, per head, I do believe the NA server per head put in a lot more dollars than per head EU. All right, if
Yeah,
you've got
I'm not worried about.
100,000 people, yeah, I know
Yeah.
the scale of
Right.
economies. I get that, but each individual on the NA probably put a lot more dollars into the game than each individual in the EU.
Yeah, the server's not going away. I mean,
No.
they could run it all from Europe if they needed to. It's not like it's hosted in their office. It's hosted on the cloud by some big ISP kind of thing. So, but it's useful for them to have somebody in the States that can
Yes.
operate through all the other stuff that has to be done, the legal, the logistics, all that kind of stuff. So I think
Yeah.
they're still going to have that. They're just drawing back on how much of that they have here.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that looks
a lot of
like.
a lot of the if you like the background stuff is irrespective of location. You can do it anywhere, but there's going to be location specific requirements, as you've just said, which will require an individual with that talent and that ability to link into the local whatever it is.
Well, see, there's already some of that, Wayne. So I don't know. Well, that's what we don't know, and we're not going to find out until after the new year. They've announced that there's some stuff going on, but we don't know what that looks like. So Carlos, no, right now, as far as I know, you cannot move your NA to EU. That's been asked for. Is that going to be part of the new thing? I don't know. Snow Snakes, what about the ping? Yes, obviously, I have an EU account, but it's 150 ping to 180. That's no good. It's
Well,
not-
that's because you see the problem you've got there is that because your country is so big, if you're on the East Coast, your ping is the same as mine, 100. I
Yeah.
can play NA all day long. It's not a problem. In
Yeah.
fact, I can play SA if I want to. And that ping is around about 140, 50. But if you're in Florida or if you're West Coast USA, you're closer to Asia than you are to Europe when it comes to the servers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand that.
Are any of you guys on the West Coast? Does anybody have an EU account on the West Coast US? What's that look like? Oh, there we go. Right now, ping. Dallas. Yeah, there you go. So that's about what I see, Wargans. About the same. Somewhere between 120 is good. It's usually around 150. Sometimes it hits 200 depending on what's going on. Oh, you play EU. Okay. So
Yeah, Snow Snakes is from the EU. But you can play the NA, depending on where you are in Europe, you can play the NA quite comfortably because the server's close enough for the ping to be around 100. Well, it is for me anyway. I get between 98 to 110.
So we're not going to
Yeah,
we're not going to see
Thanks for
any
saying.
we're not going to see any resolution on any of that.
No.
That's all pure speculation. We won't know until they release the plan. And as usual, the customer won't get the deets. We'll just see what the player-facing piece of it is, what their
Yeah.
plan is as far as
Yeah.
that goes. We'll
Yeah.
maybe be able to speculate a little bit or have better info on what maybe some of the background stuff is. I will, as a CC, provided I'm still a CC, have information on what my interface looks like, which I, in theory, should be able to share a significant portion of that. So all of that is TBD.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meanwhile, spend all your money on Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. We'll find out in the new year.
Carlos,
That's terrible.
okay, so let me cover this one more time because Carlos is asking this question. They are not closing the NA server. I repeat.
No, there's no intention.
I
at this
repeat,
point.
they are not closing the NA server with this particular situation.
Yeah.
What they're doing is reorganizing their NA office. and moving some of that functionality to the EU, or as they would like to say, and the player-facing pieces, they're consolidating the English-speaking world of tanks stuff. Now that means there are going to be some physical movements of people potentially, or jobs, probably more specifically. Whether it's the same people, who knows? I do not have any essay on whether the Austin office is staying open, closed, shrinking, unknown. No. Yeah. So there you go. Gravelode, the Christmas event. Our speculation is based on past events and looking at the calendar. We discussed this earlier, but I think it will be between the 11th and the 18th of December. Probably.
Yeah. That sort of week, innit?
Probably early in the week of the 11th to 18th. That's what it has been for a very long time. There's usually an announcement at the end of November, early December, and then that's when you'll know. So I would expect an announcement in the next week to 2 weeks.
Yeah. There's something leading up to it.
There's usually a teaser video with very few details, or maybe a couple hidden Easter eggs to get a little bit of info out there. And then oftentimes TAP will have some leaks, and then there will be the actual article announcing it with the details, and then it'll start X number of days after that.
Yeah.
But remember, there's the well-deserved reward somewhere in there as well, so there should be a little bit of an event around that.
Oh, there is, isn't there? I've just realised, yeah.
Cliffy, I have been to the Austin office. I went there in good Lord, it's been a long time ago now. How long was I don't think it was 18. It might have been 18. It was 17 or 18, maybe 16. But I streamed with them from the Austin office. I went in there. I was on a trip. I went to Austin to pitch something, and then me and Slick dropped by the office and got a little tour and talked to people. And I talked to Domo and streamed with Tragic. Commander AF wasn't there by then. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Meathead was there. Yeah, yep, I saw him. Talked to him. It was cool. Actually, that's not true. Meathead didn't make the move to Austin, did he?
No, he dropped out from that, didn't he?
I don't think I met Meathead. I think he was gone by then. But I don't remember now. Do you have any leaks about who's going to be? I do not, Cruellis. No. That's a great question. No leaks.
Yeah, it is a good question.
Let's see. Who would it be? Let's make something up.
Who's current today?
Let's just make something up.
We've had Chuck.
I think it's SpongeBob SquarePants.
Is he current today?
That's actually a genius idea. It should absolutely be SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah. You could have a whole crew. You could have Squidward. You could have Patrick. You could have SpongeBob. You could have whatever the squirrel's named.
Yeah, that would be so cool, having a SpongeBob tank, wouldn't it? He could be an artillery piece, so he could go drown himself.
Dude, the voiceovers would be absolutely epic.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
It would be epic.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we got to do that. We've got to suggest that. That's got to get. It's too late now, isn't it?
CMG, there's a lot left, man. Stallone's not a bad idea. Who else? Somebody
wants Taylor Swift.
Somebody mentioned on the forum. Bruce Willis, but he's actually got a situation going on. He's got that mental situation. Unfortunately, it kind of really sucks. Yeah, so I don't know if he could even do the voiceovers. I think he's actually pretty close to nonverbal right now, unfortunately.
Yeah. Will Ferrell.
The guy from Evil Dead, yeah, not bad. I like that.
Yeah.
Jean-Claude, yeah. Bruce Willis would be amazing, but like I said, I don't think he can. They could probably afford. Well, Cliffy, I didn't think they'd be able to afford Arnold. To be honest with you, I was really surprised that they came up with Arnold.
Well, you've got to say, is it a negotiated thing? Is it? Yes, they've done it for money, but has it been sort of like?
I don't think money's the problem. I really don't think money's the problem. For the amount of time they're asking of the guy, the voiceovers, who could probably do it in his house, based on the quality of these things sometimes. Really, it's just getting someone who has calendar clear time and wants to. And I'm sure
Oh,
they
yeah,
pay him
yeah.
decently for what he's doing, but I don't think it's enough to break the bank. I mean, they got Arnold, they got freaking, come on, yeah.
Chuck.
Cliffy, it's a
got
good
Chuck
point.
Norris.
It's a good point. Maybe they actually are. Maybe that's part of the deal. Like, hey, we just want to use your name, image, and likeness, and we've got this guy who's going to do your voiceovers, and he's a impersonator, right?
Could be.
And
Could be.
we'll
So it's a
run it
one-off-
by
like a
you.
one-off payment for
We can
something.
run it by you, and you can listen to it real quick and see if it's okay or not, and then off you go. That could be in the contract. There's no reason why you couldn't do that. Yeah.
I think they should ask me.
I mean, it's easy money for them, really, based on the amount of time that they're going to spend doing it. I mean,
Well, yeah, fair enough.
they're experienced actors. They're going to take those voice lines, and it's not like they're looking for an Oscar performance.
I mean, I'd do it for £50. You know what I mean? They asked me.
You'd be lucky to get 50p.
I know, yeah. I'd be like, who? I'll do it. Who?
Oh yeah.
Me and you be doing it. It'd be funny, wouldn't it? You'd go, yo, and I'd go, yeah, go and buy some kits at half price and sell them back at full price.
That's true. Cliffy makes a good point. Arnie was actually in the video. That's true. So he did do a little more than just the voiceovers. That's a fact.
That's true, yeah.
Forgot about
It'd
that.
be a one-off payment, wouldn't it? You know.
So, long answer to your questions. I don't know. They did the survey where they asked about that. There were a lot of names on that. So whatever those names
there
were, you assume were the ones they were looking at.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting to see. I guess they wouldn't do this. It would be interesting for them to post the results of that. But then that might give away who they were trying to go with. So
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? So I guess we're sort of stuck in a rock and a hard
Yeah.
place. It may or may not be the case.
All right, let's go back to. We're going to track back to the whole what's going on with the merger thing, because now what I want to talk about is the Lesta Studio thing. So over
Yeah.
here on the Armored Patrol, my friends, there's two things going on with this right now. First one is these flamethrower tanks. So was a report out that they're looking at flamethrower tanks from Lesta Studio. There's a lot of back and forth on that, which is like, don't worry about it. It's not coming to. What do we call ourselves now? EUNA? Are we the West? I don't know. The not RU clusters?
The English-speaking cluster.
Because the Asia cluster, first of all, the Chinese cluster is completely off on its own. Now the Asia cluster does its own crap,
Yeah.
right? They just had an event we didn't have, which was another black market-ish caravan or whatever. We didn't get that. And now Lesta Studios looking at flamethrowers, which, as you recall, was a mechanic that was in. What was the event that had the little flamethrowers and the guns and stuff?
Oh, I can't remember.
What was that called?
Oh, that was the racetrack thing, wasn't
No.
it? No?
The one. What was the event we just had? Was it the Halloween event? Strategy mode. Yes.
That was it, yeah.
Strategery mode.
Yeah.
So they built that. They obviously kind of started Art of War. There you go. Art of War. But
Art of
so
War.
so my question then is, okay, is Lesta Studio still developing for everybody? Is the Western cluster just going to purchase that content from them to integrate? Are they still really the development wing of this? Is that completely RU encased?
Well, if we go back on what we've said before, I think I want to say in the VR world they're separate. In the VR world they're separate. In the real world, I don't think they're separate at all. You can put your VR headset on and you go, yeah, distinct and separate. And then you take it off and you go, exactly the same thing. I think if they were to feed it across to the EU/NA, I don't think it would be a big deal because it's already there. It's just not coded.
Well, and that's what we've said here on this channel multiple times.
Yeah.
It seems like
Yeah.
we've have a situation where we want our cake and eat it too. We're going to pretend that we're separate based on political virtue signaling stuff, but at the same time, we're not really separate.
Nah.
That brings us then to this. the Q&A, World of Tanks Game Balance Designer Q&A. This says immediately World of Tanks RU. This does not talk about whether Roma is only an RU designer or if he's the World of Tanks balancer.
Really?
Sorry, balancer.
Oh, okay.
Well, it says game balance designer. Nowhere in here does it really say that, but if you look at his, I think there's a link to his in here somewhere. I think there's a link to his player. Where is it? There it is, Roma, right here. There's a link. You go on that, it goes to an RU account.
Really? Okay.
I'm not saying it's chicanery. Maybe he is the RU guy.
Well, I mean, you only have to read chat. Rocket tanks, flamethrowers. What possible use are they have in the game? Rocket tanks, artillery. Flamethrowers, you're never going to get close enough to use a flamethrower on anybody, are you? And what is he going to do against a tank?
Well, you
Really?
might. Just look at the corners that you've got. There's lots of corners you go where people do face punching at 150 meters, and now we got the. All right, let's go through
Bloody
it. Actually,
stupid.
let's back up. Yeah. I did want to talk something about the flamethrowers. There's something buried in here I thought was very interesting. Okay. After completion of the test, flamethrower might appear. All right, so this is all might, speculative. Assume that the vehicles will become a support vehicle, a situational damager. The crew will be stunned during impact of the flamethrower jet. The current prototypes are built on existing mechanics, so the initial stun time will be longer than wanted. I think that's a translation syntax thing. I don't know exactly what they mean by that. It is known, here's what I thought was really interesting. It is known that some players do not like the current stun mechanics, so Lesta Studio plans to rework it.
Right.
This includes
okay.
artillery stun. It's
Yeah.
buried in, but that's what it says. The calculation of the stun time will no longer depend on the damage, but will be formed by two factors. The initial stun time from a self-propelled gun shell or a flamethrower hit, and a reduction factor for this time, individual for each vehicle. The effect stun will be more discrete and will no longer depend on the amount of damage. The duration and strength of the stun effect can be affected by the equipment installed in the tank. So they're going to they're thinking about introducing equipment that reduces stun damage or flame damage or something.
All right, that then leads itself to a question. If they're talking about disparate situation, they're talking about, is it going to be just an individual crew member is stunned, but the other guy doesn't, or is it all of them, or the commander gets stunned, but the rest of them are okay, or?
Now here's one of the most telling things, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't think there's two super tests.
Ah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Somebody let me know down there if you know there's an EU super test and an RU super test. I think there's only one super test. So
I think you're right, because when I've been on it, it's been swamped with RU players back in the day.
Oh, Brute, enjoy
So-
it, man. Are you still out there in EU? Are you still... Where was he? He was in... remember, Pilgrim? You said the other day we were on. He was in...
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? He was in... I'm sure he was in Germany, wasn't he?
Amsterdam?
Or Belgium.
Amsterdam?
Oh, Amsterdam. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Have a good one. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Pilgrim. So, yeah,
No.
more evidence. Is super test is super test. So, Lesta is running super test. So, is this the super test for everything?
Yes, I think it still is super test for everything, because I can't imagine why they would have two different super tests.
Well, they have to if they're going to develop separately.
Well, yeah. Okay, let's put to one side what we've already said about being separate. For me,
That's
they
my
can
point.
introduce-
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but they can still have a single super test and introduce various modes and whatever it was, but it's not necessarily going to be fed down into the servers of whichever region. So you can super test it as a collective, but then go, okay, we can feed that into the RU server because that's fine, but we're not going to put it in the EU NA server.
That's a mess, though.
Isn't it just?
That's a mess. I can't even imagine that would even be doable necessarily from a pipeline standpoint. I suppose it is. Super Test is a separate client, Cliffy, I believe,
It is a
which
separate
gives you
client.
access to the Super Test client. I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a
I've
Super
had to
Test.
download it as a separate client. Yeah.
Are you a Super
I
Tester?
don't do it now.
Were you?
I downloaded it as a separate client.
Oh, so you were a Super Tester at one point, or no?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's a separate client.
Do you have to
And then
update that,
same
or
with Common Test.
do you have to update that, or do you?
Yes. Yeah. No. Well, it almost slate wipes clean from each super test, so you don't go in again afterwards.
I think you're talking Common Test, aren't you? You're talking
Oh,
Common
yeah,
Test.
Yes.
Super
sorry,
Test
Common
is a
Test, there you go.
separate. It's completely separate.
Yeah. No. Common
That's a
Test,
much
I do-
smaller group of
Yeah.
people, and they're specific
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
that I don't know how they bring them on board or what it requires.
No. Common Test. I do apologize.
All right, so I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is, to be honest with you guys. All right, let's go back to the Q&A thing because it similar but different. There's some interesting things going on in here. It's this Roma guy. So Roma is not involved in the development of game modes and maps. This is the work of game designers and level designers. It's very, very interesting to me in game development design to watch these stovepiped specialties want to focus on these very small pieces of the game and often claiming that, well, that other thing is not that's not what I do.
Yeah. As if they work independently of each other.
Right. Yep. So I don't know, man. Let's see. For the close development, is it possible to achieve the perfect balance? Yes. Well, hell, yes.
Yeah. Of course it
Okay.
is.
Oh, interesting. But, yes, but, for this, you will have to close the development and no longer add new content. Balancing is an ongoing process. When new tanks, classes, nations, and mechanics are added, they affect the entire ecosystem, which is why you constantly have to tweak something. Okay, so, first of all, the answer is no.
Yeah.
The only way you achieve perfect balance is every tank has the same stats.
Exactly. Well, then you've got individual skilled players as well. So
I'm talking balance from the content,
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
from content for content's sake.
Content. Yeah.
So no, it is not. And maybe perfect is a translation thing. Maybe it's a translate. Maybe the question was really, can you achieve good balance, or can you achieve balance? So we're splitting hairs. Perfect balance. The answer is no. He is right. I agree with all of this. And this is the key, I think, for wargaming, is they need to spend some time just balancing, not because they're going to achieve perfect balance, but because they can improve the current balance,
Yeah.
provided they're willing to do the things that have to be done, things like deal with overpowered reward tanks, which they refuse to do.
Yeah.
It's that kind of
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah. There's always something that makes the game unbalanced. Whatever it is, you cannot unless there you go. What TL Wiz said, mirror maps and identical tanks. That's balanced.
Right.
You know. But that's never going to happen.
And I'm not
There's always
coming
gonna
down.
be-
Yeah. So his point, I think the larger point here is the important point, is that you'd have to close or severely limit new content additions and start working on what you have,
Yeah.
which they're not going to do. Imagine that equipment appeared in the game that adds 10%. He makes a good point. Obviously, doing things like, hey, let's just add 10% of hit points across the board. Well, that helps some tanks more than others. Right?
Yes.
It's a very complex system when you make small moves. An example I like to give with this is when they released the tiny British tanks, people went apeshit crazy because they were terrible. Right? Because they looked at the stats. They're horrible.
Yeah,
The stats
yeah.
are horrible. Well, they're small. They had some capabilities in the game that other tanks didn't have,
Yeah.
just based on size and
Yeah.
concealment and vision and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
while I wouldn't say they, came in and dominated or anything, they were certainly better than the sum was better than the parts in that case.
Yeah, I mean, you had to try and find the specific role for those tanks, and it was found very quickly by
Yeah.
the player base. So there you go.
So it turns out that even small innovations can excessively strengthen or weaken some tanks. My example there would be EBRs. They don't stop when they get tracked or their wheels get hit, right? So that made them much more powerful than otherwise you might look at them and say, "Ooh, they're not really that good. They don't have good vision. Their guns are okay but not amazing." That kind of stuff.
Yeah, if you took the stats and compared it with another light tank or a scout, you would think, oh, it's all right. It's not gonna affect the game in any way. But they know that because they've done the common test and they've done the super test and they've done all the testing they needed to do. They knew exactly what they were like. So
Right. As a player, you can balance the game for them by only playing OP tank. Well, that's what happens. That's what happens. And a lot of the sins of this game's unbalanced tanks are covered up by the tier system.
yes,
So the most overpowered tier 8s don't look quite as bad because they get beat up by 9s and 10s.
yes,
Only at 10 do you really see the true nature of an overpowered tank when you start talking 279 earlies and chieftains.
yeah.
So I am not sitting here claiming that I have the absolute answer to it. These are all symptoms.
Yeah.
Let's see. Subjective impressions. Yeah, subjective. Oh yeah. How do you understand this time to change the characteristics? I rely on statistics, player reviews, my own vision, and plans for the development of the game. I would bet that this is first.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
I think it's been proven by this development team that actually there's a fourth one in there, which I'm sure guys are about to type in or talk about. The marketing department has a say in.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a large
Yeah.
say on that. All right.
Absolutely.
Subjective impressions and experiences of the game can often be deceiving. Okay, fair enough. For example, on the forum, they can massively complain about the excessive power of a tank, but if you open the battle statistics, it turns out that its effectiveness is within the normal range, or vice versa.
Well, you come back to your analogy. Your term of rep. Oh, get me words right. The EBR nonsense. On paper, it looks fine. Stats-wise, it looks fine, but actually in game, it's a totally different beast.
Well, a number of the EBRs are at the top.
Yeah,
But let's take that at face value and then say, okay, noted. Sometimes people can be wrong. That's true. A lot of times people think a tank is very powerful and it's not really based on stats. But what about the ones that people think are overpowered and are shown to be overpowered? 279 early, Chieftain.
yeah. What are you going to do about that?
Yeah, well, noted, agreed. Happens. But what about the ones that are clear? Well, you don't touch those because money. If the feedback from the players and the statistics converge, okay, we take the tank on a pencil. I don't know what that means. I think they start tracking it is what that means. If time passes and reviews do not change and are again confirmed by statistics, we determine how serious the problem is. Further, the rebalance of the tank falls into the plans and error. Okay, so that's all fair enough. That's how you do it, right? You pay attention to how they're being used by the players. You pay attention to player opinion to some extent. You look at the statistics. You see where it falls out amongst everything. And then if it's a reward tank, you don't touch it.
Yeah.
I think that's the process, right?
I absolutely. I think that's nailed it to a T. I think they sat around the boardroom and they wrote that out in black and white. Absolutely.
Oh, man.
That has got to be
Cliffy. So that's a interesting, the OP broken thing. The fact is the 279 early is overpowered. The Chieftain is overpowered. They can also be broken at the same time. Those two in particular are overpowered. There is zero argument against that. Their stats are ridiculous. They're such outliers. They need a nerf. They are overpowered. There are other tanks that are broken and close to the. Oh my goodness! I just had puberty. Close to overpowered. Oh, you're talking about Artie. Okay, sorry. Never mind. I'll come off my soapbox.
I'll get on mine.
Yeah.
I think the whole mechanic of Artie is OP. I think it's horrible.
I mean, I would agree with you on that one. I think Artie is a broken mechanic. It's not. They're not necessarily overpowered. There's a couple of them that were. Right? Like the M44, I think, could be argued to be overpowered and broken at the same time.
Yeah. The Leaf, that's at 4 tier. For at tier, the Leaf is broken.
It's broken. I don't think it's overpowered. It's very
No,
annoying.
it's not.
I will say
That's
it's very annoying. All right.
Yeah.
So he talks about the flamethrower tank. Okay, so is he only developing for RU, or he's definitely a Lesta Studio guys? His account clan is Lesta.
Yeah.
All right. Closed testing new mechanic begins soon. Be a support vehicle, limited range. We create a flamethrower tank exclusively by the Minsk studio. Okay, maybe that means it is just RU. I often hear the new mechanics break the gameplay. Aren't you afraid that the flamethrower will become such a mechanic? Players have been with us many years. Will tanks become part of their lives? They worry about the game. Okay. So they perceive any changes with caution. True. Someone wants more new content, while someone else wants the game to be touchless. I happen to be with the touchless. But the game needs development, true, and we try to introduce changes smoothly. They have a mixed record of that. Regarding the mechanics of the flamethrower, no, I'm not afraid. Everything will be pretty balanced there. Really, dude?
Can I throw something in here on that particular statement? When they start to talk about retaining players or increasing the gameplay and all the rest of it, and it's been said a million times, there are over 400, 500 tanks in the game, something like that. I can't remember. You've got more.
Yeah, I think there's more like 800 total with all the different. It's 7 or 8. I have 600 something just in my garage.
For me, that's enough. The focus should be on maps, gameplay, and then as an aside, decent modes that people want to use and play. So for me, top of the list is maps. Give us some better maps, bigger maps, more different maps with different types of scenarios and maneuver warfare maps. Let's have a focus on that instead of producing tank after tank.
Yeah.
However, I recognise the problem with that is that maps don't produce money.
Right.
Tanks produce money because people buy them.
It's not easy to solve, man. It really isn't. I think I've talked about it a lot of times. We've talked about it a lot of times. That the crowd that's watching this right now is the invested crowd. It's largely, some of y'all are new, which is cool, but we look at it different than the I will say we'll call it casual player. Did my video on that just come out, or I think I did a video talking about that a little bit, or maybe it's on Monday. Maybe it's on Monday.
We need to talk Grand Battles as well later.
Yeah, but there's a video where I talk about that quite a bit. I think it's coming out if I haven't already put it out. What do they concentrate on? And then we generally, this community is more highly invested, and we think about it on a different level than a casual player is, and they got to keep casual players. That's where the bulk of their customers
where the money comes in,
and their money comes from. So it's a delicate balancing act. It's just when there's the gross examples of failure that they don't touch. I will give them, though, that recently it has looked a lot better in terms of iterative improvements. We've seen maps get changed a little bit along the way here and there, and attempts at balance and stuff, with the glaring examples of failing to balance a few tanks that really need it.
Yeah.
So now we get into wheeled tanks and self-propelled guns. I asked Roma how the fights will change if these classes are removed. Not going to happen. Arda and wheeled tanks are links of the same chain, like signs in rock, paper, scissors. Okay. It's not worth removing them. Translation is they don't want to, and it would cost them money, but clearly they're not being removed at this point. I myself often push opponents, and when there is no Artie, I clearly feel that it's hard to play. Opponents with impenetrable turrets cluster in such a way that you can't smoke it out, and there is no one to shoot at them. Okay, well, that's a map design and a tank design problem at that point. Let's pretend that you take Artie out. Then you're going to have to introduce more weak spots and change your maps a little bit so that you don't have such hold down spots. You know what I'm saying? Okay, So the game is balanced with Artie, so the intention is that Artie takes care of some of that stuff, and that's part of his ecosystem. I got it. But don't give me an example that it's impossible to do based on your game design. Your game design, it's all part of your system, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't remove them and change your map and tank design.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, you could take all the turrets of the OP tanks, like the T-29, like the Chieftain, the T-95 Chieftain, and so on and so on. And you can introduce weaknesses in there so they can be played against without the need for artillery. So that is just it's just something thrown into the mix that they just don't want to take into account.
Yeah.
It's
enough that we reduce their number in battles. I often
have they, because I've seen 2s and 3s.
Well, his definition of that is you no longer see 3 very often. But the reality
still notice.
The reality is you see 2 more often.
Yeah.
and you see 1 more often. So you have fewer no Artie battles, I think.
Yeah.
Supernova, how are you, man? What's happening? Supernova is one of our CCs, and I don't know if I actually have a shout out for him. I do.
Yeah.
There's Supernova's channel. Check out his stuff. So, yeah, it's very fascinating. What I was saying is, before I got off track there, squirrel, is I often find, and I think maybe some of it is a translation thing. You know, it comes across as it is written by the person who did the interview sometimes. But I find often that the developers, it's really any video game, to be honest with you, but in particular World of Tanks, since I pay attention to it so much, they seem very sure of their correctness often.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes they say things like, well, that's enough, or it's balanced, or we said so, or that, that kind of stuff. And I guess it's also, I sense a lot of defensiveness when there's questions being asked.
Yes,
which is
I think.
Go ahead.
I think there's a mentality within the hierarchy of World of Tanks that, look, it's our game. We've produced it. We put it out like it is. To some extent, if you don't like it, tough.
Stuff it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always think that's kind of interesting. And I think it's a human trait. I get questions sometimes. I get defensive on stuff, so I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. He takes a lot of fire. I mean, if you go to some of the place, like, just read the comments on this. If he ever comes to this and reads the comments, he's getting flamed by people.
Yeah.
Sometimes deserved, sometimes not.
Yeah.
Wheelers attracted fans of fast driving, which was on purpose. 100% guarantee you that they put that mechanic and that unit into the game so that the fast twitch kids would like it.
Exactly.
Right? And I'm not saying older guys don't like it either. They play it too, but that was to attract the more fast-moving gamer types to what is considered a relatively slow game overall.
Yeah.
That was that was on purpose. Wheeled L2s have somewhat negative effect on tracked ones, but here it is more likely that you need to deal with the latter. So again, they say, well, we made them slower, so there was less of them.
Yeah, that's like...
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't play a tier 10 game usually without seeing an EBR.
No.
Although you can make...
EBR is raging, because these people are now skilled with them. And you watch them, and they get air, they turn, they squiggle, you can't go near them. They're horrible at tier 10.
Yeah. Well, I would remove the magic auto aim immediately. Somebody mentioned it.
Yeah.
I would get rid of that immediately. There's no reason why those things should have that.
No.
It should be hard for people to auto aim and hit things with them if they're moving that fast. That should be part of the deal. You want that much survivability and speed, then no more of this, if I get close enough, I get a lock kind of crap.
No. No. Give them one advantage that they've got, fine. Make them fast. But don't give them 3 lots of advantages. Fast, can't be tracked, and have auto lock. I mean, that is just OPing the tank from the beginning, that, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jolins is asking about watch time. I don't get this. What? Is there a watch time thing on this? Don't know what that means.
I'm not going to quit, but if I were, yeah, I don't
Tell
quit.
everybody on the forum.
I don't quit World of Tanks every day, but when I do, I go to the forum first and tell everybody.
Yeah, I do it on a monthly basis.
Yeah, we usually go about 2 hours, but I think we're going over because we're still nugging through this. 2 hours is the goal,
Go
but
get his Sunday dinner.
let's see. Now they get into the 25% stuff. You probably notice the damage deal doesn't match. Yep. Yep. Why is this rule? Perhaps it'd be better without it. It's a tribute to the historicity.
I can't read it because it's too small on the screen, but
Which is very well laid down on the gameplay. In reality, it's almost impossible to say whether a projectile will penetrate. True. To some extent. If we remove this mechanic, then the sight will always be either green or red, but the uniqueness of the game lies precisely in the yellow sight in the element randomness. And if we were to reduce the spread to, say, 10%, why? Why? This is the dismissive thing that drives me a little bit crazy about their attitudes with this stuff. Why not, instead of say why not just explain it? Well, maybe he will. This will not affect your level of player behavior in battle. How the hell do you know?
yeah, exactly.
The
Because they do surveys.
the
And they
probability
ask you your
distribution.
age.
Why? You're 55 years old. I know that. Wait, what? The probability distribution is arranged in such a way that the chance of extreme values falling out is noticeably lower than the average. What he's trying to say is, what I get from that is, why would you want that? Because really, the plus or minus 25% thing happens very infrequently. Okay. So by that logic, it should be plus or minus 75, because then it would be really infrequently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go with that.
Therefore, most likely, you will not even notice the difference between plus or minus 25 and plus or minus 10. Well, would I notice the difference between plus or minus 75?
No.
I think I would notice the difference, by the way, fella, because I
Absolutely,
wouldn't get those extreme low rolls
Yeah.
every now and again.
Every time.
Every now and again.
Time, yeah.
Because in both cases, the average value, blah, 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 fall out. Yeah, okay, noted. That's true.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I am not as bothered by the plus or minus 25 damage as I am by the penetration plus or minus 25.
Yeah, I'm more on the other side of that. I'm more on the dispersion side. I just hate it when a fully aimed shot goes into the ground.
Well, that's the
Goes
third
over the top.
mechanic. That's the third mechanic.
Yeah.
So dispersion
third mechanic.
is not exactly RNG, although there is a calculation they use for where it's going to go.
The shot will go somewhere. Yeah.
Right. So that's the dispersion mechanic, but there's the penetration plus or minus 25 RNG, and then there's the damage plus or minus 25 RNG.
Yeah.
So there's three things. People say that a lot when they shoot and it misses. Like, oh, RNG got me. It's like, not exactly. Dispersion got you, which is sort of ish a form of RNG, but it's not necessarily just RNG.
Yeah.
There's a dispersion calculation for, and generally it tends to cluster towards the center, which is how guns work, more or less. When you look at dispersion
More or
and
less they
figure
do.
out how
Exactly.
accurate something
Take
is.
into account everything from windage to weapon movement and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, the gun itself, the firing system, the thing it's mounted on, you know, all the factors that go into make how accurate a gun is, not just the tube.
Yeah.
The tube has a
Right.
specific accuracy that if it's on a hard mount that
Yeah.
is X. But then you have to take everything else into account.
Well, this is what I mean. I agree with you. The penetration and the damage is hardwired into the game. So yeah, would you notice a difference in percentage? Of course you would. Absolutely you would, because it's hardwired into the game.
Yeah. I think for me that if the damage was lower, plus or minus, I would like that more. The pen doesn't bother me quite as much. I don't know.
Well, the pen is tied into dispersion, isn't it? If you
No.
aim for the weak spot, then and the penetration should happen. There shouldn't be a percentage on that. But if you aim for the weak spot and dispersion kicks in and you hit,
So you want
Solid
less
turret.
dispersion. You want to hit what you're shooting at.
Yeah, exactly that.
See, I don't think you would like that. I don't think you would like that. Neither would I, because there are guys out there with the Twitch skills that if this was a
get you.
if this was a laser
absolutely.
beam, even if you just left only time of flight in, right?
Yeah.
Shell velocity. Maybe you just leave that. But even with that, if dudes were hitting where they aimed consistently,
Yeah.
I don't think I would no longer be competitive.
Yeah, that's very.
That would be brutal.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's the
Yeah.
360 no scope headshot area. There's a lot of games like that out there. Go play them. Have a ball.
That's true.
One of the
That's very
reasons
true. Yeah.
people like us like this game is that's not there, and what that has required is some amount of dispersion / RNG mechanics. And the dispersion mechanic is a realistic mechanic. You know, a gun is X accurate, but all the things we just discussed, as you well know, you go on the range, you start shooting. Yeah, I have a very accurate firearm I'm using, but all my aiming, the windage, the position, how I'm holding it, how I pull the trigger, everything goes into whether I hit the target.
Which is why when you do your group testing on a 25-meter range, you're always going to get a 25 mil grouping. Even the best snipers in the world get a 25-meter grouping, because those 10 rounds you put down are going to be within a 25 millimeter circle. Even the best guys can't get it any closer than that.
And that's the dispersion mechanic. It's whatever their calculations is for X number of rounds within X size of a circle.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them are outside in some way. All right. He talks a little bit about the did not hit armor. He's that's not really. Some people don't understand that if they're new, but to me, I get it. You didn't hit a hitbox. I mean, you hit a piece of the tank and it didn't go into the hitbox. Noted. You didn't used to know that, right? Remember, in the not too distant past, you would get a hit and then nothing would happen, and you'd go, stupid crit, no damage. What happened? Well, now we know a good number of those reasons.
You've now got that ability in the setup to actually show the different parts of the hitbox now, haven't you?
Yeah.
No, you get that little speckled highlight, and you get all that sort of stuff, and you know the one we've talked about.
Yep. He talks about single tier battles and balance. At first glance, this may seem like a good idea, but in reality, single tier battles are more intense and monotonous. Huh? With the current spread of ±2, somewhere it hurts you and somewhere it's very good. I tend to agree with that. You like to be the big stompy tank. I'm not bothered by ±2. I know a lot of guys.
I think that's a fairly balanced, for want of a better word. I wouldn't want to use balanced all the time, but I think that is a balanced idea. That, I mean, it sucks when you're tier 8 in a tier 10 battle, but at the end of the day, you can still do things at tier 8. You can still damage on.
I think it's kind of a fun challenge sometimes. You know, I mean, I wouldn't want to always be bottom tier, and I'm not. I mean, oftentimes I'm top tier, or maybe you get a 2-tier battle or a single tier battle. The fact is, you do get quite a few single tier battles in this game.
Yeah.
I would say the majority of your battles are probably 1 or 2, not all 3 tiers, really. So
if you want to be single tier, just play tier 10 all the time. You'll be single tier virtually all the time.
That's true, not working. That's true. But that's a different problem in my opinion. That's not a +or -2 matchmaker problem. That's a tank problem in a specific tank.
I think Left Shoe does it at tier 1.
Yeah, Bitwise. That could be a translation. I don't know how it's both. Yeah. I don't know. So what does he say? He says bouncing teams by rating will also make the fights more intense. Increase the time in the queue, and at times solve the problem it forces. If the purple player gets into the team with the red-yellow against the green team, the average rating of the teams will be equal, but we understand that this is not the case. As a situation with we lost because they have one more green will continue, but trying to explore how to give the player more of a sense of fairness is definitely worth it. So maybe they're looking into possibilities right there.
That sounds like skill-based M&M.
Yeah, that ignores the fact that that every game isn't always. How do I put this? In a one-off game, it can be true, but over a series of 5,000, 10,000 games, you basically have the same teams.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Oh, this is the head shaker. I don't know where he would get this idea. And it could be a translation error. There are fights, the outcome which is determined in the first minutes, and then one side simply finishes the other. Yeah, turbo battles, what they're talking about. There's a problem with turbo fights. We are aware of it and are constantly thinking about how to improve the situation. There are plenty of reasons. One of them, in my opinion, is the skill of the players. Over the years, it has greatly increased, and now the mistake of even one tank is not forgiven. The enemy immediately tries to use it to the maximum, and the turbo drain begins. I think there's a little truth to that to some extent. And for me, the larger picture of that is a metastasized meta. I don't think he necessarily means they're good players.
No.
I think he means experienced, or people who once you start to see certain situations on a map, you lose a couple tanks early, more people are more aware of what to do. They may not be particularly great at it or skilled at it, but it's the cascading effect. And as snowballs, as Cliffy just said, snowballs cascade. This is a factor in computer games with no respawn that's known. There's a lot of math behind it. You can take a look at it in game design. It's a factor also in warfare. People have looked at it, what happens when you lose a certain amount of units, and then even though the numbers...
it's called momentum, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Getting momentum.
Yeah, and even though it maybe even looks like... Yeah, maybe even it looks like you still have a similar force, but the other one has gained an initiative and a momentum, and too many key things have fallen, and it just goes faster and faster.
Yeah.
So...
I struggle to see a way around that, because there's no way in-game that can be limited, because in-game you don't know that's going to happen until it happens, effectively. You can sort of look at it and think it's going to happen.
So
until it starts to happen, till very early into it, when it starts to happen, you think, and as a player you can look at it and react with it. How do you then legislate the game to stop that happening? I can't imagine the coding is so difficult for that.
I don't think you fix it, you mitigate it. And I think you mitigate it by refreshing the meta. And you refresh the meta, in my opinion, by refreshing the maps more often. By changing maps. And it does. I don't think it would necessarily take a lot of change to maps. You could do very small things. Dynamic maps, I'd love to have some type of dynamic maps where there are certain things, select a few things on the map that, depending on, make it RNG of some kind, that a building switches or something happens. A rock is not there. The hold down position, like take well, I don't know what I would do with proc.
Remove the spotting bushes.
Yeah, you could do that. You could have sometimes, or make more. Like one version has more bushes, or moves the bushes, or maybe even a version has instead of just having the whole middle of it be that rise, put a dip in the middle of that rise. And just something that changes up the map significantly. Not like completely different map, but just a certain position that if you go raging in there and you get there, you're like, oh crap, I have to dynamically think about this, because this is not exactly what I expected to have here. Switch caps and spawns around. And I think if you do it iteratively enough and you make the changes significant but small enough, you won't run into a situation where you've created a massive imbalance because you've changed a map and you threw it back in the game, and this is the map you get for 6 months. Like, if it doesn't work or you start to see problems, change it. And then you get the player understanding that it's going to change, so they don't get mad if something got removed or added, because they know it'll continue to evolve. So, night games. So I think there's a lot of little stuff you can do around the edge to work on the metastasized meta. And I'm not saying that will solve your turbo battles, but it'll make them more interesting. It will, give players something different to look at and learn, and I think it will slow down some of the turbo battle stuff, because then it goes to what he said. You don't have so much experience on those maps that once you lose 3 or 4 tanks, everyone sort of knows what to do. I mean, some people don't. Some people are going to be in the back bush no matter what you do. But you can tell when a team is taking advantage of a situation. You can see it happening on a map often. We talk about it when we're on stream. I'm like, oh, that's not good. they're going to push that. Next thing you know, there they go. You know. So, anywho, that's all I have, man. I'm done talking, I think.
We are.
Yeah. Do you did you have a contest?
I've got a competition. It's a
All
very
right,
easy one.
Oh, good.
So it's very quick. Guys, get your fingers ready. Get your wiki fingers ready. Don't forget, it's Pilgrim's Wiki, not the general wiki. So you have to find Pilgrim's Wiki for the answer.
Oh, good Lord.
But this is going to be a Florida-based question for 500 gold. And don't forget, I need your server and your in-game name, please. You can either whisper it or put it in chat or whatever if you win. Right. So, for 500 gold, everybody, a Florida question. Ooh. Here we go. It's a 3-part question. I need the 3 answers all together in one go, not bit by bit. Did you win Archery Books? No. What have you done for Florida? Well, I'm sorry. Get on Pilgrim's Wiki. Here we go. The question is, Spanish Florida was founded in what year? What year was Spanish Florida founded? And who founded Spanish Florida? What was his name? And then the third part of the question is, when did it become a United States state? When did it become part of the United States of America? It became a state in what year? So, what year was Spanish Florida founded? Who founded it? And what year did it become part of the United States? Are we going to talk Klaus videos?
Oh, God, I forgot. Yeah, we do need to do that. Let's do this and whatever. We can
competition.
We can go over time. I got time. You got time?
Yeah, I got time, yeah.
Okay. Forgot about that.
Oh, 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3, Gator. Not saying which one. Come on, and Spanish Florida was founded in what year? By who? And when did it become a state? Heisenberg, no. No, no Bitwise. Close, Wayne. Very close. SpongeBob. Get your wiki fingers going, guys.
SpongeBob square conquistador.
So close. Left shoe. You're 1 out. You are 1 out, left shoe. No, Corellis. No. Well, no. The only date I've got is quite a late date, actually. It became a state, Cliffy. So it became part of the US. Left shoe, you're the closest so far.
SpongeBob
Any more takers before we give it to left
conquistador.
I'll give it another 30 seconds, if that. Oh, look at that. Look at that. TL Wiz is close as well.
Did not working as intended get it?
No.
No?
Hang on, not working as intended.
All right, Carlos. See you, man. Thanks.
Hang on. Not working as intended. It's going so quick. No, he's got 2 out of 3. Right, there you go. TL Wiz has got it. TL Wiz. TL Wiz. With the answers 1513, Ponce de Leon, and 1845.
Ah,
TL
there
Wiz.
you go.
Well done, guys.
Nice.
And that's from Pilgrim's Wiki, so it's only for 500 gold. Don't worry about it. TL, I'll sort you out later today, mate. Cool.
It's the oldest continuously occupied city is in Florida.
Is it really?
Yeah, St. Augustine.
Cool.
St. Augustine. All right, I forgot we were going to talk about rigging. All right, so Klaus has a new video out about rigging, and got that sent to him. I've actually downloaded the video. I have it. I've had several of you reach out to me and say, "Hey, are you going to cover this?" I don't know, to be honest with you. I've covered it multiple times. I don't know what else really there is to say about it. Somebody's like, well, you could use your influence to bring light to it. I know that Wargaming knows. I'd love to be able to stop it myself. I don't know what you would do. You can't really. It is pretty interesting at how brazen they are about it, though, with all the ads.
That's what struck me, Guido, was just how they really don't care that everybody knows it's happening.
That's a great question. I think yes and no. I mean, they don't. I don't know. Do they really? I bet the middle management people, maybe the customer facing guys, they probably care because they're talking to the customers and they want a good game. A lot of them are gamers. I think at the upper levels, probably not. Yeah, Dacky actually got in the middle of one. There was one going on in the middle of the game, and I guess he got in there and ruined it for him. So rigging in the context of what we're talking about is doing something to bring several accounts into one battle and working together from the two sides to do marks or to finish missions or to grind tanks or credits or bonds or whatever it is that generally considered, I would say, these big operations, more professional kind of operations that are doing it industrially. Yeah. You've seen the videos on mobile, all right? So you got these mobile games and you got these places in Asia where you've got this bank of phones and they're all farming these mobile games on these bank of phones. Klaus has a screenshot, and I assume that's how you would do it. It's multiple screens and it's got a bunch of clients on it, and that's how you control. And as always, when I talk about software and apps and stuff, I'm going to say air quotes, it would be easy. Obviously, you would need to know how to do it, but you could code some scripts and things to run multiple clients for time-ins, to where you would press one button, and every one of those accounts would try to get into the same game.
Yes.
Yeah. When I say try to get into the same game, what I mean is they all would press battle at the same time, which would increase the likelihood of them being put into the same game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, so Yuxin actually admitted to that. So you have the cottage industry that grew up around the game, and it grows up around any video game of people who will boost your account and do things for you, good players. You know, a college student making a few extra bucks, maybe you're doing it for your buddy, he pays you 50, maybe you get a few customers, you know. But as it got bigger and bigger and more organized, I think what we're seeing now is very organized as the game becomes older and older, and you've got these prize tanks that Wargaming refuses to touch. People want them. They can't get to them. They're not good enough, or they don't have the time, or they just want to throw money at it. So then they develop this. There's a pain point, and humans are entrepreneurial, and they figure out how to fill the pain point, and often for money. So it's clear that there's money to be made here. Otherwise, they wouldn't put in the effort for all the ads that they're paying for, and you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now there's a lot to this because people often equate cheating with rigging. There's also the mods thing. But what we're specifically talking about is people playing your account for money. You pay them, they get access to your account, and then they do whatever has to be done to get you a 279 early.
Yeah.
There's the clan piece of it where clans, people say rig, clan wars. That's more of a diplomatic thing between top clans where they lock down the map and make sure their guys get the tanks. That's a different subject. I don't know. Maybe there is. I guess clans have had people pay them in the past. That certainly happens too. But specifically, Klaus's video, this particular rigging is talking about for 279 earlies or 260s or 3-mark rigging.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do it more easily on South America. I think Klaus's example was the EU server, because I actually downloaded the guy's video. I have his game. He actually uploaded 3 games, this guy. 2 of them it looks like he was playing in. The other one definitely looks like a rigging game, because he goes blazing straight through Ghost Town and goes straight to where a bunch of tanks are just sitting on the cap, on the spawn. One other poor loser.
They're all lined up, aren't they? It's just a big line of red tanks.
One other poor loser got into the game, and potentially 2. There's 2 430Us, one on the other team. He's the only live guy, it appears, and then one on the Riggers Minotauro's team. It's hard to tell whether it was the Minotauro or the 430 that was rigging, or both, or if that was just another player. I suspect it's the Minotauro, because he went straight through the town, straight to the spawn, and started
Yeah.
shooting things. Like he knew
Yeah.
he wasn't going to run into somebody. You
Yeah,
wouldn't
exactly that.
you wouldn't blaze through that fast. Somebody made a good point though. It's possible that when he logged in and saw nobody moving, he thought maybe it was one of those games where everyone disconnects but a few people. I've been in a couple of those, not many. It happens where there's only 3 or 4 people playing. But this one really looks like he's going straight in to start farming.
Yeah, absolutely.
He knows.
Absolutely.
And then the 2-4-30's scrap. So I don't know if maybe those are 2 players that went to that spot, and then probably because you can see what your own tanks are doing, the other 430 comes in. He gets 12,000, so he actually gets some of the damage that the Minotauro was starting to gobble up. But he had to fight the other 430 first.
Yeah.
Were the 2 430s in on it too? Maybe they just went over there and fought anyway, and just for giggles, So Gator says certain clans sold multiple accounts to another clan who wanted purple. Yeah. So that's how they do it, right? They go to eBay or something like that, and they get accounts. All these, if you look at it, Klaus goes through all of the accounts. Most of them look like farming accounts. These are accounts that were dead and only recently came back to life. I looked at a number of them as I watched the video. That game was played on the 9th, I think, of November. I watched the video yesterday on the 19th. So that was 10 days. A good number of those I looked at. I didn't look at every single one of them, but a good number of them showed even more battles. So a good number of those accounts continued to be used for the rigging purposes for the last week or two.
Yeah.
You can look them up. Don't believe me. Go to Klaus's video, look at the names, and start looking at them on tanks.gg or whatever stat site is your favorite. Obandu, old accounts that could only come from. This is where we get into the conspiracy piece. I think they're buying them off of eBay. So if you're running a company like this that's making pretty good coin, paying $10, $15, $20, $30 for an account that you can use to make $300 is probably not prohibitive. I think you can, Obandu, and potentially you could have a lot of people involved that have old accounts. I don't know. It's a good question. Here's another thing. How many accounts just came over from RU?
Well, there is that. There is that.
So how many accounts? Was it over 1 million?
Something like that, wasn't it? It was massive.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
And if an RU player wants to make money.
A lot of them had Russian names too. So.
Oh yeah.
Did the boosting services in RU move a bunch of their sock puppet accounts over so that they could move their operations to EU?
There's a million theories, isn't there? There's a million different ways that things could have been and have been and possibly could be.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
I sort of
the fact is, there's proof out there.
I sort of separate out the clan thing for clan wars. That seems to be pretty common amongst gamers, that when you have those kind of clan wars ideas, global maps and stuff, a lot of that diplomacy thing is actually part of the fun. And if they want to trade money and stuff, that doesn't bother me that much. You kind of know what you're getting into, but we're talking pubs.
Yeah,
and
where the average player doesn't need that against you because it's bad enough as it is.
Yeah, and overpowered tanks. And
yeah,
honestly, at the end of the day, do I really care? I only care because it sucks to be the guy in that fight with them in that particular match, and that sucks. Yeah. I also only care because giving overpowered tanks out sucks. I don't give two craps if somebody buys 3 marks. I think you're an absolute muppet if you're buying marks.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, whatever. If that's your thing, go for it. That doesn't bother me. Except that, again, in order to do that, they have to do these rigging games, and if you happen to show up in one, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, it's very much. If it personally affects me, then I get pissed by it. But people, you can't stop people doing that sort of stuff. It's a worldwide thing. It's not. How on earth can you police that? But yeah, it pisses me off when it happens, and I'm in it. but very rarely, to be honest, very rarely. Maybe in the 10 years I've played, maybe 5 or 6 games have been like that against me.
So
I can think back.
realistically, I disabused myself of the notion that Wargaming would do much about this years ago after the T-22 debacle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that those guys got like a day or 3-day ban or whatever it was, and they kept the tank. I've never been really convinced that Wargaming was ever really going to do anything about that kind of rigging seriously. I think they play a little bit of whack-a-mole as they go. If things pop up and get too ugly, they'll ban a few people and then say, hey, look, and then, oh, by the way, we can't tell you who or why, because that would be, we don't want to expose methods and whatnot.
No, and you know, sometimes, Guido, a 1-day ban is given out, and you think, why? That's not going to stop anybody, a 1-day ban.
See, Dioblo and I are in disagreement here. We've talked about this before, and he's like, he knows people that did it, and one of the things he said, which was said a lot, that, oh, Wargaming made the missions too hard, so it's their own fault. I'm like, well, that's not you know what's right and wrong. You know, I'm a believer in objective truths, and at the same time, it's a video game. I get that. Here's Guido's take on T-22. I would have deleted every account that partook in that.
Yeah,
that's what I would have done, and then I wouldn't have a game company.
Yeah, that is
not that I would have been able to build this game company, but let's pretend that I built this game company. And then I deleted everyone's account who cheated, and then the game failed. So, you know.
Yeah, let's call it gaming 1212.
And I feel good about myself now. Yay. Moral victory. Oh, your game sucks. Okay, thanks.
Not happening, is it, really?
Well, that's the thing, Bitwise, right? So they're only banning the puppet tanks. Except that sometimes they will gather up the account of the guy who paid for it. So... But does that really happen? You know, then you go into the conspiracy theory. They don't ban the person's account who paid for it, because that's probably a paying customer. If they're willing to pay $300 or $400 for a 279 early, how much money have they spent on the game otherwise? Probably a lot.
Yeah.
There's that one too, Cliffy. We have to be competitive in Clan Wars. There's a lot of people who rationalize the things that they do. It's fine, whatever. That's them. So that was a lot of talk about. I don't have an answer, guys. I mean, I could do a video on it, but it's. What do you want me to say? It's there. It happens. You know, they might tamp it down. Maybe Klaus brings some vision to it, and they stop some of it. But these dudes are clever. That you're not going to catch them.
No.
It's it's like, oh,
realistically, Guido, just to butt in, what is actually going to happen to that individual? It's not like it's a criminal offence and they're going to go away to prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're going to lose their access to the game, get a new email and start again if you're that bothered. So they don't. There's no real time effect on what wargaming can do to an individual person.
If you're running if you're running a company that's doing this, you don't really care about the game. You're making money, so you're good. You or the people you're hiring are good enough, or your plan is good enough, or a combination of the two, that you can quickly crank through and get tanks for people. You're not doing it because you love the game. You're doing it because the faster you can get that 279 early back out the door, the sooner you get your money.
Exactly.
Right? And you can move on to the next customer that needs it, right? So you have everything you have done is around making this thing happen as fast as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're invested, and most of the guys here on this chat are invested players, even the new players. It's not fair that this happens, but it happens. And Wargaming isn't going to go and pat me on the head and say, there, Pilgrim, we'll sort it out for you. They're going to say, I don't care. Buy your gold at the end of the month and shut up.
Yeah, see, Dioblo, that's a great point about the 279 early. And I do this on stream a lot. And it's not always true, but a good portion of the time I can look at the account and you can see where the spike in performance happened, where they probably paid somebody or had a friend or whatever. Somebody else did it for them, because it'll be kind of this green, purple, and then green.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's. I hate to say that it is what it is, but that's where we are with it. We'll continue to talk about it, and I'll continue to make fun of people who do it because I don't personally get it. It's like, holy cow, what? Drive around.
Because invariably, for example, the 279 early debacle, invariably the players that do that to get that tank, they don't know how to play the game anyway, and they just roll out that tank. They think they're indestructible, and you can see straight away the players that have earned it or bought it.
Well, I will say,
totally the opposite.
You don't have to be very good before you're pretty darn good in a 279 early.
Yeah,
yes, it has
exactly.
weaknesses. Yes, it can be beat. Yes, good players can defeat them. No, got it. But look at the stats of most of the kind of greenish players that own one or above. Their stats in that tank are higher because it's just better.
Just better all
generally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not indestructible, but it's just pretty easy to play. Cliffy, I do that. That's why I don't see a lot of it. Also, so the last thing I wanted to say about all of this is it's one of the reasons I enjoy tier 6 to 8 so much.
Yeah.
I mean, occasionally you see you get into a tier 10 and maybe your tier 8 has to deal with a 279 early, but generally from 6 to 8, I don't deal with a lot of that stuff too much. It's a different game down there. It's a little more wide open. For me, it's a little more fun, not as sweaty, try hard, so that's why I live down there most of the time. So, there you go. There are ways to avoid it. If any of you have a suggestion on how it gets stopped, let me know. But multiple of you have said it. You're just not. It's just going to be there. But hopefully, Wargaming does. If it's super gross and they can see it happening, ban the accounts, do what they can. But they don't have the time. Like how many employees would it take to sheriff this stuff? More than they could afford or deal with. And Diablo brings it down to exactly what I've been saying. The only way, really, right, is to make it not desirable. The reason people pay for it is they're desirable. But they're not going to do that.
Wade.
Because see you, Wayne. Yeah, he's like, good Lord, this is going on forever. That's it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, we've had it. I've run out of words.
Be quiet. Set all the wood. I've used all the woods I'm going to use on you.
Yeah.
That's what my wife's little cousin said to her. Her cousin's child. She's trying to knock some talk out of the child. She's like, be quiet. I'm not talking to you. I've used all the woods I'm going to use on you.
That is awesome. I must try that.
I'm not talking to you. All right, man. That is all I've got. Pilgrim, you got any last parting shots?
Just stay safe and have fun in World of Tanks. Why not?
Absolutely. Let's go find somebody to raid here. Who we got? There's not many people up and running right now. Sunday's like that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Only crazy
Sunday morning,
people.
Isn't it?
Only crazy people like us are up and yapping about this. Let's go boost. That's right.
Yeah,
Appreciate everybody coming by the way. We got a couple subs in there. We got some follows. Let's see how that went out. We got Carlos Steelhunter with the follow, Ruse Johanna with the follow, Snow Snakes with the follow. Thanks, guys. We have Artillery Bugs resubs, Stickler resub, Roflo with the follow, and Diablo with the resub. You guys rock. Thank you so much. Let's find somebody here. Grow Up Cider is up, so we may jump on there, but let's see if we can find somebody else. Because I think we just rated him.
Thanks, everybody. Cool. Been a good one.
Let's see.
I've got to put Christmas decorations up now.
Oh man, you are in trouble now. Let's see. Pred Loskeen. I know nothing about him. Let's go over there. Could be a horrible train wreck, but he's only got 2 people watching, so see ya. Go Ecuador. All right, here we go.
Go Ecuador. All right.
8, 7. Pilgrim, thanks again, man. We'll see you Friday.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
And we are out about now. See you guys.